Welcome to Toronto, always a hotbed of hockey. Fans are excited about big baseball at the Rogers Center this week. The Yankees are in town. The big bats of Jeter, A-Rod, and Sheffield, impressive enough. But now they have a new spark plug, Johnny Damon, already making a big impression in his new uniform. Once upon a time, Toronto was the most electric city in baseball. Huge crowds packed the Sky Dome as they were rewarded with back-to-back World Series championships. Now excitement around the Blue Jays building again thanks to some major free agent signings, and the Jays believe they can now stand toe-to-toe with the big boys. Today they get a crack at the Yankees. It's a day game north of the border. Today's broadcast is presented in spectacular high definition and available on ESPN HD. This afternoon from the Rogers Center in Toronto, Ontario, it's day baseball. The New York Yankees in town to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. A quick two-game series as these two teams last night started it out. Alex Rodriguez got the Yankees off to a fast start. The Bronx Bombers with a 4-0 lead at the end of a half inning of play. But Randy Johnson was not sharp. Troy Gloss with the first of 2 home runs. And Alex Rios, who's been swinging a good bat early on, helped out the cause with a home run of his own, and the Blue Jays that come from behind victory, beating the Yankees 10-5. Hi, folks. Thanks for joining us here today. John Sciambi alongside Steve Stone and Steve Phillips for the New York Yankees. Offense really is not going to be a problem this season, but Steve Stone, in order for it to get better, pitching's got to get better.
Randy Johnson came into the game last night with one of the league's leading ERAs, but he got pounded. Mike Messina goes to the mound today, and lifetime in this ballpark as a Yankee, he's 9-4. Overall in this ballpark, he's under 500. This is a resurgent Blue Jay lineup. Messina has a good knuckle curveball, but now he's added a couple of other pitches as a concession to the aging process. Messina's a good one. He's off to a good start, and he's going to have to be because his beleaguered Yankee pen has been in too often early in the season.
Last 6 years, the story has remained the same in the American League. As you look at the Yankees and the Red Sox, the headliners. The Blue Jays this season, added payroll, added expectations.
A big offseason for the Toronto Blue Jays, and a lot of the offseason acquisitions centered around the pitchers. But at the start of this season, it's been all about the offense here in Toronto. They're leading baseball in hitting, and it goes to the middle of the lineup. Young Vernon Wells, a perennial slow starter, off to his best start in his career. And Troy Gloss, one of those big offseason acquisitions, is doing exactly what they wanted, delivering the power and the RBI production and the leadership for this young team. The Blue Jays bats are swinging. Now they're trying to get the pitching going as well.
It's the Blue Jays and the Yankees coming up this afternoon. Our pitching matchup, Ted Lilly going up against Mike Messina. And Ted Lilly, the former Yankee, very familiar with this lineup. It is one of the most dangerous in all of baseball, featuring Derek Jeter, who has struggled against the left-hander. First pitch coming up. Day baseball from Toronto next.
ESPN's Day Game, brought to you by Aleve. Safe and strong all day long.
Gorgeous day for baseball here in Toronto, back here at the Rogers Center as the Yankees and Blue Jays get set to wrap up a quick two-game series. Let's check out the New York Yankees lineup. It's the lineup put together by the skipper Joe Torre, and one of the most potent in all of baseball. But Steve Phillips, maybe the hottest hitter right now, the DH, Jason Sciambi.
Well, what a difference a year makes for Jason Sciambi. He was last week's Player of the Week and off to a fantastic start so far this season. A year ago, it was dismal, but right now he's leading this offense.
Yankees with one of the best lineups in all of the game, something not lost on every single pitcher that they will face this season. And this afternoon, the New York Yankees going up against this southpaw, Ted Lilly.
Ted Lilly had a great game against Boston last time out. He gave up just 1 run and struck out 10 in 6 innings. But career-wise against the Yankees, he's gotten hurt. He's 2-5. The ERA is over 6 in 10 starts. And it's a livelier ballpark today because the roof is open. That means that fly balls that normally die at the track will probably go out of the yard. But he's had a tremendous advantage against Derek Jeter and Gary Sheffield. That's 2-3 in the batting order. So Lilly usually handles them. Keep your eye on A-Rod and Matsui. They usually handle Lilly.
So Ted Lilly finishing up his warm-up tosses as we take a look at the Toronto Blue Jays defense. And this is a team that catches the ball especially well in the outfield. And you look at center and Vernon Wells.
Well, that's right. They've remade this defense with some of the moves they made. Some questions in the infield, but no question at all in center field. Vernon Wells, 2 Gold Gloves to his name already in his very young career. Look for him to make some plays in the outfield. Now with the dome open today as well, a little bit different setting for him. We'll see if it has any play.
They've also changed things around a little bit as Rios has taken over every day in right field. He was platooning with Eric Hinsky, but it appears that the youngster will now play just about every day, and Hinsky will have to get his ABs as a pinch hitter and an occasional DH.
Now here's Johnny Damon to stand in. First pitch of the game. And that is in for a strike. We are underway. Johnny Damon, the new leadoff man for the New York Yankees, and you see the numbers off to a fast start. One of the things to monitor today, how Lilly does against Damon, Sciambi, Matsui. A season ago, really struggled against lefties. The 0-2. And Damon just does get a piece.
I think one of the reasons why he has some problems against left-handers is he can't pick a spot on his breaking ball. The curveball is real good, and many times to right-hand hitters, he'll start it over the left-hand batter's box and break it over the outside corner. He's lost that release point to the left-handers, and a lot of lefties have hurt him.
Lilly back to work. The ball in 2 strikes to the leadoff man, Damon.
I like the other problem Ted Lilly has. It is such a big breaking curveball that a lot of times lefties will take the pitch. And if he can't throw that for a strike, he doesn't have a secondary pitch. He won't throw the changeup to left-handers.
That one inside, buzzed the tower all the way to the backstop, and now it's even up 2-2.
Another factor with Johnny Damon and his addition to the New York Yankees, like so many of these Yankees, he will work the count. He'll see a lot of pitches. They want to get Lilly into the 70s before he gets into the 4th inning, and then they want to get into that bullpen.
Inside corner got him looking. Damon didn't like the call. Good start for Ted Lilly. Well, against the Yankees a season ago, September 23rd of last year, he did not get off to a good start. Greeted rudely by Derek Jeter, then Robinson Cano. Back-to-back homers to start the game. Lilly would last only 1 inning, allowing 4 runs on 5 hits and 3 walks. The shortest start of his career last September 23rd. And now he will face the shortstop Derek Jeter. And it's strike 1 to the shortstop.
That fastball will top out about 90, 91 miles an hour, and I think the mystery is why Jeter's hitting just 118 against Lilly. Last night he was able to bring his hands in and drive a couple down the right field line for a double and a triple, and this is as good a hitter as there is in baseball.
Jeter able to lay off that one. Yeah, the irony of that home run to start the game last year against Lilly, Steve Stone, you mentioned it, 2 for 17, minimum 15 at bats. The only pitcher that Jeter's fared worse against in his career is Mike Timlin. But you know how amazing a career Derek Jeter has put together in a Yankee uniform, and look at the names that this guy's next to.
A lot of names. Steve Stone, you pitched against many of those guys, didn't you?
They were pretty tough. I got Gehrig out consistently. Ruth gave me some problems.
Ball with 2 strikes on Jeter. And the left-hander fires.
You know, it's interesting. We talk about the struggles Derek Jeter's had against Ted Lilly. Well, Gary Sheffield has struggled as well. He's only hitting 120 in his career against Lilly. If you want to beat the New York Yankees, a good way to start the day is if you can hold Derek Jeter off the bases and Gary Sheffield from hitting it out of the ballpark, you've got a good chance to win.
Jeter stays alive and remains 2-2. The problem here is just so many big bats in this lineup. You can hold a couple of them at bay, and a couple more will get you.
And during the daytime, this is a relatively small ballpark. It's 328 down the line, 375 to the power alley, 400 to straightaway center, and the ball flies out of here in the daytime.
That one gloved by Lilly. Nice play. Tosses to Hillenbrand. 2 outs. Yeah, we spoke with John Gibbons, the manager of the Blue Jays, prior to the game. He said it's not 100%, but for the most part, roof open, wind blows out.
Also makes it a little tougher on the outfield, and a big advantage for the home outfielders who have played here many times, although this is the first game this year that they opened the roof. These guys have played with an open roof quite a bit. It's going to be a little more difficult for the Yankee outfielders to get a beat on the ball, and as far as sight lines are concerned.
Now here's Sheffield. And Gary takes a strike from Lilly.
It's going to be the key for Lilly. If he throws strike one consistently, he's got a chance to fare pretty well today.
Now one line to center, chasing in Wells, got a late start. And it's a base hit for Gary Sheffield.
Well, Sheffield got a pitch out over the middle of the plate that he could drive, and he laces it right up the middle. Again, when you struggle against the pitcher, you think to yourself, let me think middle of the field from gap to gap. You see Sheffield in, he gets his big leg kick, just gets a pitch out over the plate. Good swing, drives it up the middle, and Vernon Wells, ball hit right at him. Bright sunny day. Fortunately able to keep that ball in front of him, charging that ball. Gets by him. That's a triple for Sheffield, possibly an inside the park home run.
And now Alex Rodriguez with a man at first and 2 down. And ball 1 to the third baseman.
And here comes the problem for Ted Lilly, and that is A-Rod. He gives a lot of people problems, but in this lineup, he's one of the most devastating hitters against Lilly. So Lilly was hoping to get out of the first inning 1-2-3, lead off with A-Rod next inning, but it didn't work out that way.
And Lilly missing away this time.
Well, Alex Rodriguez on this road trip there in Minnesota, he had been struggling swinging the bat, and he called himself out, said, I have to start doing more to help this team early in the season. I have to start swinging the bat. And a contrast to Jim Leyland having to call out his young Tigers team. The veteran player here for the Yankees did it to himself.
3 balls, no strikes on Alex Rodriguez, a home run in last night's loss. The Yankees jumped out to a 4-0 lead, a game they eventually lost 10-5. And the 3-0 misses. A 4-pitch walk to Alex Rodriguez. Now 2 on with 2 outs. And the hottest hitter in the Yankee lineup coming to the plate. That's Jason Sciambi.
Well, you could tell that Lilly wanted no part of Rodriguez. He decided that he wasn't going to throw him anything close. Even though Sciambi was the American League Player of the Week, he said lefty-lefty advantage. I don't care if he's hitting in the 340s. I'm going to take my chances with him. Now we'll see if the pitch around is going to pay some dividends for the Yankees or for Ted Lilly.
First one to Sciambi, finds the mark.
Well, the problem for Ted Lilly is he does have some command issues with his fastball. He has problems at times throwing strikes. When you pitch around people to put other guys on base, you set yourself up for trouble that if you make a mistake to a guy like Sciambi, it becomes a 3-run homer.
You see how hot Sciambi has been of late. The 0-1 downstairs, and the count is even. Steve Phillips, you mentioned the command problems. Last start brilliant against Boston, but his first start of the year against Tampa Bay, he walked 6 in 2 1/3.
Well, there's also a problem here. You can't overshift on Sciambi the way you normally do. So a ball hit back up the middle that would be at the shortstop now is going to go into center field for a base hit.
Up the middle, Hill makes the play, and Sciambi has retired. The Yankees lead 2. Vernon Wells and the Blue Jays coming up to head end of a half inning. No score here in Toronto. Back here at the Rogers Center, the roof is open. No score as we go to the last half of inning number 1. Check out that Toronto Blue Jays lineup put together by the skipper, John Gibbons. It is one of the better lineups in the American League. They are right now third in runs scored. Steve Stone will look at the bottom of this order. They got some pop there.
I don't think you're going to see a better eighth hitter than Alex Rios. He's only hitting .395. He's hit 5 home runs. He's driven in 14. And for whatever reason, John Gibbons wants him at the bottom of the order. It could be that Mussina might be real tough on the youngster, but he's off to a great start.
Blue Jays will go up against the 37-year-old from Montoursville, Pennsylvania, Mike Mussina.
Well, the veteran right-hander to be the number 2 punch in the 1-2 punch of the rotation for the Yankees. Pitched very well so far this year. League only hitting .217 against him on the season.
Mike Mussina ready to work, and he'll face Russ Adams right here. And Mussina deals a strike. 0-1.
Early in his career, he'd get off to fast starts, but the last 3 years, maybe because he's getting a little older. In April, he's 3-6 with an ERA close to 5. Then the calendar turns over. It's May. He discovers he can get that knuckle curve over the plate, and he's gone 8-1 with an ERA in the low 3s. So April has not been a kind month over the last 3 years to Mussina.
Big swing and a miss, something off speed pulling the string. You saw the numbers on Russ Adams, and struggling to get on base so far.
You know, for Mussina, who's typically a slow starter in the cooler weather, we have a nice day here today. He started out in Anaheim as well and in the Dome in Minnesota, so he actually is pitching in better conditions and therefore I think getting better results so far.
Nice breaking ball, throws him at the plate, and a strikeout for Mussina to start the game.
Well, there's another big factor, and that is Mussina has gone 7 straight games on the road. This is not a great defense, but Johnny Damon adds a whole lot to it in center field because he can go get them. And last night he made 3 brilliant catches. So he does give you the great speed. However, he doesn't throw particularly well. And so if you get a chance, if he's going from side to side, this Toronto team is going to take an extra base on him.
And now Frank Catalanato taking a strike. Platoons out there in left field with Reed Johnson. Johnson, the better defender. If the Jays are ahead late, we will see Johnson come in defensively. And early on, Mussina peppering the strike zone. He's ahead 0-2.
Yankees have only played 3 games at home. Mussina didn't pitch in any of those games, so all 4 of his starts have come on the road.
The 0-2 to Catalanato. And that one popped up. Foul off third. Rodriguez watches that move out of play.
Now, Stone, we talked about Johnny Damon yesterday. The Yankees 10-5 loss, but Johnny Damon covered some ground in the outfield, running down some balls. Otherwise, that game could have gotten a lot further away from the Yankees than it did. And Johnny Damon has no fear going at that wall. That one looked like, remember, in Fenway Park, he had run into the wall and cut his eye the one time. And no ill effects. He's still playing hard.
Yeah, injured his shoulder last year, banging into the monster as Catalanato skies this one to center. Damon fighting the sun and puts the squeeze on it for out number 2. We showed you Johnny Damon's defense last night. 2 of the balls he made spectacular catches on. He robbed Vernon Wells of extra base hits, and Wells off to a hot start. And, you know, that's one of those things where you look at the sun that he's contending with out there in center field, Johnny Damon, but last night Vernon Wells robbed 2 different times balls that were absolutely scorched to center. And here is Wells at the plate. Had his 12-game hit streak to start the season end last night.
I asked Vernon about the hitting background, especially during the daytime here, and he said it was okay. He thinks the best hitting background in all of baseball is on the south side of Chicago, where the White Sox play. He says he loves that hitting background.
Skied on the infield. Cano makes the call. Makes the catch. Mussina gets him 1, 2, 3. We'll go to the second in Toronto. No score. Back here in Toronto at the Rogers Center, the Yankees and the Blue Jays, no score. As we go to the second, doing a little souvenir shopping. Of course, in the early 90s, the Blue Jays, the powerhouse of Major League Baseball, with Back-to-back world championships. Hideki Matsui will stand in for the Yanks. Matsui, Posada, and Cano for New York here in the second.
It'll be interesting with the sore knee that Matsui has if he's able to stay in there and hit the ball well against Lillard. He's hit well his whole career against him. And Matsui has played in 500 straight games. So this guy plays every day, banged up or not.
Matsui rolls this one for Hill. One away. Coming up tonight, Wednesday Night Baseball on ESPN2. The Indians at the Orioles, 7 Eastern. Indians tied with the White Sox atop the AL Central. That'll be Jake Westbrook going up against Rodrigo Lopez as the Indians dropped 15 runs and 20 hits on the O's last night. Tell you what, that is a good division.
And some good offenses. You look at the White Sox swinging the bats, and that Indian team, boy, those young kids can hit.
Last year, you might remember Victor Martinez got off to a terrible start, wound up costing Eddie Murray his job as the hitting coach. This year, Martinez is hitting around 400. Hafner's hitting everything in sight, and the rest of those Indians continue to pound the baseball. That looks like it's going to be a great race.
Posada takes the strike, 1-1.
You know, the interesting thing for the American League is, you know, you have the perennial teams. You have the Yankees, the Red Sox, and you have the White Sox, the world champions from last year. But the other young teams, this Blue Jay team, the Cleveland Indians starting to come on as well, the Oakland A's, real depth.
Lilly having some footing issues there.
See, if you can hit the top of the bat and have it come right back at you, it's an easy way to get it out.
No, he did not have footing issues there, just sprayed it way high. Posada just does get a piece.
Posada, a product of the New York Yankee organization, hitting much better from the right side, 364, than he is as a left-hand hitter, although he'll tell you that he feels more powerful as a left-hand hitter. The right side, his natural side.
Now, Jorge Posada in the lineup today did not play last night as Randy Johnson started for the Yankees, and Kelly Stinnett, the backup catcher, appears to be the personal catcher for Randy Johnson, an issue that they had last year as well.
Yeah, they have not officially announced that. He is unofficially,
right,
his personal catcher.
Well, the first game out, Johnson threw to Posada and everything seemed to be okay. And they say they're getting along better these days.
Big breaking ball, got him looking. Posada putting the bat down. Didn't like the call from Brian Runge.
Well, Brian Runge behind the plate, a third-generation umpire, tends to call the strike zone pretty close. The big breaking ball, Posada gives up on it. That's that high strike that Major League Baseball is trying to get umpires to call. Breaks down just above the belt. Not really a bad pitch, but that curveball, hitters give up on that pitch as it starts up and out of the zone. They think it's got to be a ball. It's such a big breaker that it falls in for a strike.
Cano bounces this one for Hillenbrand. Handles the chance. Lilly is there. And nice work by the left-hander. The Yankees go in order. End of 1.5, a scoreless game. Back here at the Rogers Center, that young man has been working hard. Tommy John surgery scheduled for him very soon as we go to the bottom of the second of a scoreless game.
That's actually the orthopedic surgeon booth. They give you the baseball, throw as hard as you can, about 15 of them, and in about 6-8 months, you'll be feeling terrific after the surgery.
Sponsored by the local doctor, huh?
No
Exactly
question.
right.
Now, did you throw 70 when you played, Sonny? Did you get it up to 70?
Occasionally.
Well, he was topping out there at about 67. Troy Gloss standing in.
A lot more difficult than you think. Especially when you have a guy with a bat up there that's trying to hit it 8 miles off here.
And this guy can't hit it 8 miles off of you, and he's done it already this year, hitting a couple yesterday.
Yeah, he did that last night, getting those long arms extended.
Last night, the first home run he hit was a no-doubter. I mean, he hit it 8 miles. The second one went 8 miles up in the air and didn't make it by all that much, but enough, and Gloss off to just a great start.
Already taken 10 walks this season. Fouls that one off Posada. Ouch. Take a look at those home runs last night. How about the first, Stoney?
Looks like Johnson tried to get a cut fastball or a slider inside and didn't come close, and Gloss hit it a mile. And then later on, Chacon tried the same thing. Same result. Bad hat, bad hit.
Got him swinging. Messina blows the fastball past one of the newer Blue Jay acquisitions. And here's some of the others. A.J. Burnett and B.J. Ryan in the pitching department to help out.
And a lot of people kind of miss that Benji Molina acquisition, but Molina can hit. Hit in the 290s last year. He's a very good catcher for them. Was a good addition, signed awfully late. And of course, the other guys got all of the pub, and you figure when you spend over $100 million on pitching, you're going to do that.
Now, Lyle Overbay up. He's DHing today. Normally plays first.
Well, the Blue Jays kind of figured out, took stock where they were in this division and figured they needed a 1-2 punch to go with Roy Halladay. They signed A.J. Burnett to match up with Messina and Randy Johnson. Also to match up with Kurt Schilling and Josh Beckett. And then they needed to do something at the end of the game. Miguel Batista didn't get it done last year, and B.J. Ryan has been nearly perfect so far. And we see the escalation in payroll. Obviously, $71.9 million, not anywhere close to what the Yankees are spending, but a huge increase, and they brought in some real talent.
The 1-1 drops in for a strike. Do you guys buy into the idea that the Blue Jays will compete with the Yankees and the Red Sox in the East?
I think they've got a pretty good shot at it because their lineup, although maybe not as strong, will be pretty consistent. The only question will be in the starting rotation. That's just about everybody's question, especially the Yankees.
Paints the outside corner with the 1-2, and Mike Messina off to a very, very fine start. So what about it in the American League East, though? You look at the Red Sox, they made some moves. Mike Lowell, Josh Beckett, the Yankees as well with Dean.
Well, where would the Red Sox be without Jonathan Papelbon? Because they didn't have anybody at the end. Keith Vogt was hurting. Papelbon has 6 saves, and right now he's getting everybody out at the end, but they expect him to start one day.
Well, he may one day, but you know, with this Blue Jays team, I mean, I just really like what they've done. They're young. They're all about the same age, moving together as a group. And, you know, they have the balance with the pitching and the offense. They've added length and depth to the lineup where they've got a chance every inning to put some runs up. We're talking about Alex Rios batting 8th in this lineup with 5 home runs already this year. They have a chance to score every inning, and in the American League East, you have to put yourself in the position to do that.
I think it really depends on the health of Burnett and the health of Halladay. Halladay had some forearm problems. A.J. Burnett has had some problems throughout his career staying healthy. 13 wins is his high water mark. So although they spent a whole lot of money, they have to have some guys that will stay healthy and maybe pick up 34 starts for them.
To the Yankees, off to a 6-7 start. Keep in mind they started last year 11-19. That one sliced to right, and Sheffield plays it on a bounce. First hit of the game for the Blue Jays.
Well, Shea Hildebrand decided he likes to play first base. He doesn't like the DH role that much. And he says, because I feel like I'm pinch hitting 4 times a game when I'm the designated hitter. He gets the ball up in the zone. He doesn't hit it all that well. When you get a pitch that high, though, you can muscle over the infield and drop it in for a base hit.
Hildebrand's always been a guy who can hit, but realistically, if you see the acquisitions of Overbay and Gloss and know you're not going to play in the corner outfield very often, you have to figure you're headed for DH. And although he doesn't like it, I think one of the reasons is he's done it, but not all that often. 39 times last year. What he has to do is get himself in a rhythm like a lot of the other good DHs do, so that when they go up there, they feel like they're in the game. I'm sure David Ortiz would be more than happy to tell him how to get loose.
Exactly.
Greg Zaun getting a chance to catch here today and bounces that one at Cano. Fires over to Phillips, and that's that. Blue Jays strand the man. Will go to the third. Still 0-0.
ESPN's Daygame, brought to you by John Deere. Check out the new line of riding mowers at johndeere.com today.
Yes, spelling at the Rogers Center. And as we go to the third, the Jays, J-A-Y-S, yeah, Jays lead the Yanks. No score.
You're right there, big guy.
I'm okay. It was the spelling that threw me off. I was sitting there trying to figure out if they spelled it right, and then I sat there and thought.
It's really a shame because you were right up even with that level of excellence that they have.
Yes.
Pat Gillick, Cito Gaston, Dave Steve. Now we've sunk below that level.
I brought us there. Here's Andy Phillips swinging and missing.
You know, guys, we're talking about the Blue Jays and all the money spent in the offseason, and a lot of people say, wow, the Blue Jays spent so much money they overpaid for the guys they got. But here's the thing. For the Blue Jays who have been losing, they had to spend that money.
Phillips down on strikes, and that is the third strikeout of the game for Ted Lilly.
They had to spend that money. They had to spend a little more to bring guys to play here. It's across the border. Guys don't typically always want to come here. They had to extend in order to bring the talent here.
Here at the Rogers Center in Toronto, John Sciambi, Steve Stone, Steve Phillips. Day game north of the border. No score in the third, and Damon to hit for the second time. Struck out looking back to start the game.
And Steve, there was another factor because there was a time they used to routinely draw over 4 million people, and to do that you have to have a good ball club, and they're trying to get back there. They've tried to grow their own. It hasn't been as successful as they would like, so you bring in some offense with Klaus, you bring in some pitching with Burnett, some guy at the end, B.J. Ryan, who can close them down, and hope that you can compete with the Red Sox and Yankees, because those two teams aren't going anywhere. They're not going to come back to you. You have to jump up to them, and that's what they're trying to do here.
And the reality is that when people are saying that a team overpaid, that's what other general managers say who are in the competition for the player, and you don't get them. You say the team that got them had to have overpaid to get them.
Lilly does a good job painting the outside corner there. And now it's filled up on Johnny Damon. No score in the third. The roof is open here at the Rogers Center. And now the lefties 3-2. Got him. Damon down on strikes for the second time today. And the fourth of the afternoon. Well, you go back to the World Championships. First one in 1992. Mike Timlin recording the final out. And the first time the World Championship trophy went north of the border. They did it again in 93. Joe Carter, the famous home run in Game 6. And the Sky Dome and Joe Carter going absolutely crazy. And now Derek Jeter.
And the architect of those teams, Pat Gillick, now is gone with the Philadelphia Phillies, trying to see if he can work some magic in the National League East.
Jeter grounded back to the pitcher his first time.
You know, guys, I think a case could be made that the work stoppage, the strike in 1994 leading into 1995, hurt baseball in Canada more than anywhere else. Blue Jays had won in 92, 93. The Expos were playing very well in 94 when the work stoppage came in. And both organizations from that point on really have not been the same.
Well, there was a case to be made that the Expos were the best team in baseball that year.
You're right.
If you look back over the talent that they had, including Larry Walker and Marquise Grissom and Pedro Martinez and John Wetland and a number of others, you'll see that it really did hurt both of these teams. And you can see that 4 million was a regular occurrence here in Toronto. They had some good, solid teams, and the fans came out and supported them.
And when you have their attention and you let it go, you have to end up doing much, much more to ultimately bring it back, and they just have not been able to do that.
The 3-1 missing outside, so it's ball 4. 2-out walk issued by Lilly. I think people forget how popular baseball was here. I mean, over 4 million, 3 straight years, 91, 92, 93. And you look at the splits there, the differences in those stretches.
Well, that's one of the reasons why they went out and spend the money that they did. They know that the interest is here. The question is, can you bring them back to the ballpark? And the only way to do that is to get up and split what has been 1-2 in the division for the last 7 or 8 years. Yankees win, Red Sox finish second, Blue Jays finish up the track, and even though they've had good teams, they haven't had good enough teams.
Good curve there to Sheffield.
This is why the Yankee lineup is so good. You get 2 outs, and Derek Jeter goes up and just doesn't give up an at-bat. He works and fights and scratches and claws to get on base against the pitcher against whom he has struggled, just to get the potent Gary Sheffield up to get a chance to hit one out of the ballpark.
The 0-2. Stop by Zone.
Very rarely will you see the veteran Yankee hitters swing at bad pitches. That's why they're always seeing a lot of pitches. And for Sheffield, who normally is a dead full hitter, and they're playing him that way, Vernon Wells is over toward left center. He wants to keep the inning alive somehow for A-Rod, who's hit him a whole lot better than he has.
The 1-2. Way outside. You see a lot of pitches. Usually means you're going to strike out some, but you're also going to walk some. And I think the stat I would look at as far as pitches seen, the fact that the Yankees are first in the American League in on-base percentage.
Well, they get on base, but part of the problem with the Yankee offense is they've become very reliant on the home run. 49.4% of the runs this year have come via the home run. They have to manufacture runs.
Sheffield lines one over the leaping Adams out into left field. So 2 guys that have struggled against Lilly get on base. Jeter the walk, Sheffield the single, and a 2-out rally for New York.
A good piece of hitting by Gary Sheffield here. He stays back in the zone, waits for that breaking ball to break down into the hitting plane, lays a good swing on it, line drive over short. You know, that one hit could be the thing that just triggers how Sheffield starts to see the ball, and he could suddenly start to get hot against Ted Lilly.
Well, the difference in that curveball, that was a rolling curveball. That ball just came in and kind of settled over the middle of the plate instead of changing planes quickly.
Double steal Jeter. Sheffield able to advance to third and to second. How about that? Lilly wasn't paying attention.
Well, what I always liked on the double steal was to go to the secondary runner, because you're not going to get Jeter. Your only chance is, if somebody would cover and nobody did, was to try to get Sheffield. And now the problem with the double steal is it takes A-Rod, their best hitter, against Lilly, out of the equation, and now he faces Sciambi.
It's an interesting decision by Joe Torre to start the runners. That clearly was a designed double steal, because you saw Alex Rodriguez kind of act like he was going to bunt. He was taking that pitch all the way, allowing the runners to move. And you're right. Now it brings up Sciambi, a guy who's a very hot hitter, but not nearly as good against Lilly as Alex Rodriguez.
And Joe Torre's team has put this rally together with 2 outs, a Jeter walk, to Sheffield single, and then with A-Rod at the plate, the double steal opens the doors for the intentional pass, and the sacks packed for this guy.
And now a lot of pressure on Zahn, because he's going to see some breaking balls, and some of them wind up in the dirt. You got to smother everything.
Fastball in for strike 1.
A very important pitch for Lilly right there. He's fallen behind a number of hitters to get ahead with a fastball against Sciambi. Now it gives him the option to go fastball up and out of the zone. He could throw a breaking ball as well.
See Greg Zahn wearing the sunglasses beneath the mask on this sunny day. Knee-high strike, and it's 0-2.
Well, looks like Sciambi was looking for anything but a fastball. He probably thought, I got the first fastball. There's no way in the world he can throw me another one, but he went back to back, and Sciambi just looked at both of them. Now you can get him out of the strike zone.
Lilly trying to finish off Sciambi and the Yankees here in the third. He
was able to hold his swing on a pretty good curveball. Zahn goes out and talks to him, and I got to believe they're going to come right back with the same thing. You have another choice if you want to, because that face-high fastball that looks so tantalizing to left-hand hitters is almost impossible to catch up with. You can go either place and probably get the strikeout. Zahn struck him out 7 different times.
The 1-2. Sciambi bounces that one foul.
Looks like a little cut fastball or a slider. Kind of a strange pitch, and Sciambi, who normally is a dead pull hitter, yanked it foul.
Well, it's the first little slider that we've seen. Almost like he took something off of his breaking ball right there, or threw a get-me-over fastball in that situation, and that's the lack of concentration. You've got to throw your best pitch right there, not your third or fourth pitch.
Got him on the fastball upstairs as Zahn applies the tag, and that's that. Still scoreless here in Toronto. Coming up, our inside pitch from the Cy Young Award winner, Roy Halladay. We'll talk about the sinker. That's next from the Rogers Center. No score back here in Toronto. We go to the bottom of the third. Let's check out our inside pitches. Roy Halladay talks about the two-seam fastball.
All right, we're going to talk about the two-seam fastball, and it's something you're starting to see more and more in baseball right now. And the two seams comes from, you have two seams around this way, and when the ball spins, you're really only getting these two seams that are, you know, rotating, as opposed to four seam, where you're going to see four seams. So the biggest thing you do is you get those two seams, and I try and get on this side of the ball. And what you're trying to get the ball to do is go down and into a righty. And for me, it's not really turning the hand, but if I overload the ball on this side, where I get my fingers on this side of the ball, my thumb on this side of the ball, and when I look behind it, I'm seeing most of the ball on that side. That way, when I come through, the ball's coming off this way, and that gives me that movement that way. A lot of guys are trying to go this way, but I think the safest way is just overload the ball on that side, regular delivery, and then just feel it coming off that side of your fingers.
Alex Rios up here. Who's got the best two-seamer in the game right now?
Well, you'd be hard-pressed at the beginning of this season to say anyone's is better than Greg Maddux, because right now he's enjoying a renaissance. And any right-hander can throw it inside to right-handers. What Maddux does consistently is nip the outside corner to the right-hand hitter with that two-seam fastball. They give up on it, and it's strike 3. He's had a brilliant start to this 06 season.
It's interesting watching that, and the look on your face, Stoney, was like, oh, that's how you throw a two-seam fastball. If you had only known then what you know now.
No, I was taking a look, and I looked in the book, and I noticed that he was 6'6", 225, and I thought, you know, if I was a foot taller, I would
used to be 6'6".
I would have been able to also have got that ball into right-handers on occasion.
You still have the 225 going for you.
Yeah.
I think Roy Halladay might have the best two-seamer. I mean, and you're right. It's one thing. There are a lot of guys who can get that great movement, but the ability to command it and locate it where you want is something that Maddux and Halladay do about as good as anybody in baseball.
It used to be you only throw it on one side of the plate. Now guys are throwing it on both sides of the plate, and it's equally tough to hit.
That one lined and caught by Rodriguez over there at third. Well, we showed you Roy Halladay with our inside pitch through in the bullpen today. He missed a start because of forearm discomfort. He threw this morning, reported that everything went well, and he will start Saturday.
Well, he took an MRI on his arm, and everybody was concerned that he had to take an MRI. But talking with J.P. Ricciardi, he said that MRI was scheduled because of his insurance policy. It was going to be at that point anyway. And so everything turned out structurally to be fine.
On the ground, Jeter, 2 away.
This is an interesting artificial surface, because if you talk to the players, they'll tell you that this is slower than most natural grass. For whatever reason, because there is no dirt there, the ball just slows down. It doesn't pick up any spin, and it'll give infielders a lot more range. The problem will come, you have to have a very good arm, because you're going to get to more ground balls, and that's been one of the big problems with Adams for the Blue Jays. Doesn't have that real cannon for a shortstop.
And Adams at the plate taking a strike. Struck out looking his first time.
When you look down on that field, it almost has kind of a checkered board look to it, a little parquet look. It's because it's actually laid down in pieces that they take out every time the team goes on the road. They take it out so they can have other events here at the stadium.
It's hard for me to believe that they disassemble it. And I talked with Troy Gloss. I said, how is that field? And he said, when we came back, it was perfect. He goes, but when they disassembled it and put it back together again, sometimes the seams got in the way of some ground balls. So it's not an exact science, and the field will be different every homestand.
Yeah, when it used to be actual artificial turf, it was considered one of the fastest playing surfaces in all of baseball.
And now it's completely different because it does have some threads, and you can see they fit it together, but it is slow.
Got the ground up rubber underneath. And it's sliced the other way and into the seats.
Both pitchers off to a pretty good start. Lilly had his problems last inning, but he was able to wend his way out of it with a good high fastball to Sciambi. But so far, Mussina's had really good stuff.
We showed you Roy Halladay, and you get a slow infield playing surface that would fare well when you're throwing a lot of two-seamers. Mike Mussina, on the other hand, a guy that's going to get more fly ball outs. Swing and a miss. The breaking ball has been sharp today for Mussina as he has punched out 4. We played 3 in Toronto. Still no score from the Rogers Center. Roof open here at the Rogers Center. No score. We'll go to the 4th. Ted Lilly back to work. He'll face Matsui, Posada, and Cano. Talked a lot about how powerful this Yankee lineup is. They're second in the American League right now in runs scored. Steve Phillips, you mentioned the fact that the problem with this lineup is that it's too reliant on the home run ball. Why is that a problem?
Well, because not every day are you going to have the ability to go deep. I mean, you have a very potent lineup. You have guys who can hit it out. But there are days where your pitchers are going to keep the ball in the ballpark. You're playing a close game. You have to find a way to get that one run. I mean, the Yankees this year, it's been feast or famine. I mean, they have, in their 6 wins, they've scored 9 or more runs in those games. They haven't won a game that they've scored less than 9 runs so far this year. I mean, they're averaging, I think, 10.3 runs in their victories and 3 runs per game in their losses. I mean, that's a substantial difference, and you have to find ways. You can't just wait for the big home run. You have to start the runners, and I think that's what Joe Torre did last inning. It did take the bat out of Alex Rodriguez's hands, but I think he's looking at it saying we have to do something to get going here.
Well, I believe you have to do it, and you have to have the personnel to do it. If you have guys that don't hit and run very well, or guys who can't bunt, then more times than not, you're just going to sit back and wait to try to get the big inning. Obviously, Jeter can run, but that situation, I think, hurt the Yankees.
Lifted in the air, Catalinato. 1 down here in inning number 4. Gorgeous afternoon here north of the border. Toronto, Ontario, the Rogers Center, the Yankees and the Blue Jays. And John Sciambi alongside Steve Stone and Steve Phillips. All right, let me ask you this. Didn't the Boston Red Sox win the 2004 World Championship by relying on the home run ball and putting up crooked numbers, by relying on extra base hits?
But the one big run they got was when Dave Roberts stole second base and led to a run, and that was about speed. It was some other aspect of the game that allowed them to do it. And I think you have to have a combination. I mean, power is critical. I mean, power is important. But having the ability to score runs in other ways, for me, particularly in the postseason, is critical. You have to find a way to get that one run in an extra inning game. You can't just wait for the home run.
I also think you're going to run into some great pitchers that are not going to allow you to hit the ball out of the ballpark. And when that happens, you're going to have to find a way to manufacture some runs. In one-run games, more times than not, you'll find that taking the extra base, bunting a guy over, doing one thing if you're not going to bunt, using a hit and run, you wind up winning the ball game. I mean, you're going to find you win a lot of games if you hit the ball out of the ballpark. There's just going to be too many days you don't do it.
And the challenge for managers like Joe Torre and Terry Francona in Boston is, you know, when do you run? Because your hitter, your base runners, you're in scoring position on first base. When Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz are in your lineup, you're in scoring position on first base when you have Sciambi and Sheffield and those guys. So you say to yourself, well, should I take a chance to run here when I know a double scores the guy anyway?
Well, Terry Francona told us that he thought Coco Cripps could steal 50 or 60 bases.
Cano gets into that one, laces it to center, and a 2-out single for the Yankees. Not much offense in this one so far. Just 4 hits in the game, and that's the 3rd for New York.
Lilly got his first major league win in a Yankee uniform and went to Oakland and now finds himself as a fairly dependable starter with the Blue Jays.
Just want to point out, guys, that Andy Phillips is no relation to myself, and Brandon Phillips, also with the Cincinnati Reds, no relation. In fact, nobody related to me has played in the major leagues. I thought I'd get that out, Stoney, just before you went there yourself.
No, I was going to say the difference is the major league uniform.
The integrity of the broadcast was possibly going to be compromised.
I felt compelled to get that out there so that nobody thought that anybody with the name Phillips in the big leagues had anything to do with me.
Well, Andy'd like to show the Yankees that he can swing the bat somewhat because they know he can field. And if he shows them he can swing the bat, he'll get some playing time.
I think one of the things he needs to start swinging the bat as well is the Yankees signed Carlos Pena, released from the Detroit Tigers earlier this year at the end of spring training. He's down in Tampa getting ready, going to go to AAA. Left-handed bat, but a guy with some juice in his bat and a very good glove.
Lilly issuing the walk right there.
The last couple innings shows you, well, actually the first inning also, so it's 3 different innings, shows you the problem that Lilly will have on occasion. He gets the first 2 guys out in an inning, and it looks like he's going to have an easy inning, and then he winds up in some big problems. You get the first 2 guys out, you got to put the hammer down and get out of the inning by making a couple of good pitches. He's got another jam here.
Hasn't had a tough time with Damon so far. A couple of strikeouts. He deals low.
I think, Steve, you make a good point, because for the Blue Jays, one of the areas of their team that is struggling is that middle relief. Late in the game relief has been good. That middle relief. And for Lilly, he's extending his innings and his pitches and ultimately going to limit how long he go in this game.
We saw it in the first inning. He retired Damon and Jeter, then gave up a hit and a walk. Then last inning, he struck out Phillips and Damon, then gave up a single and 2 walks. 2 outs this inning and another single and a walk. So he's having a hard time holding down the Yankees after getting 2 quick outs.
What is it? Is that concentration for a pitcher that he just lets it get away from him and doesn't keep his focus?
I think that's exactly it, and I think it's probably going to be up to Zahn to go out there when he gets a couple of outs and remind him to stay right here, keep making good pitches, let's get out of this inning.
He misses down and away to Damon, and after getting the first 2 very quickly, a single back-to-back walks, and now he's going to have to deal with Jeter. You saw him shaking his head right there.
It's very difficult for major league pitchers to have any success if they cannot command their fastball in the strike zone. It's one to have control to throw it for a strike, but 2 to locate it within the strike zone. He's having a hard time even throwing it for a strike.
Well, he's got 5 walks, 1 intentional, and now you have to face a guy that he's had all kinds of luck with over the course of his career. However, Derek Jeter still is one of the toughest clutch hitters in all of baseball. And even though he's hitting 114 off him lifetime, I think he's awfully tough in this situation.
Fastball right there, strike 1. When you say not concentrating, flesh that out a little bit. I mean, he's not trying to walk Andy Phillips, not trying to walk Johnny Damon. It's not like he's not paying attention. What's he not concentrating on?
He just loses whatever concentration it is. I mean, it's hard to really explain what it means to a pitcher, but you just drift away for a bit.
Big swing and a miss, good curve.
And by the time you get it back again, you've fallen behind or thrown a pitch that you're not too happy with. Here's a good sharp breaking ball down and in, and now he's ahead 0-2. Now he's in a real good situation, but he's loaded the bases to get here.
Second straight inning that the Yankees have had the bases loaded. Fastball upstairs. Jeter lays off.
The reason that's an effective pitch for Jeter is that it's hard for him to cover everything, but also because of Lilly's curveball. It's such a big breaker that he can start that curveball at the high fastball level and then break it down out of the zone, and it's tough for the hitter to distinguish the pitch.
Where to now, Stoney?
To me, it's that same breaking ball low and in that he got him on the pitch before. See, one of the reasons why I don't like a hittable fastball on the inner portion to Jeter is that he inside-outs the ball probably better than anybody in this league. And where a lot of guys would get jammed and maybe thumb the ball to the left side, Jeter can take that pitch, get the head of the bat out by leading with his hands, and hit the ball to right field. He did it twice last night. That time he just happened to foul it off.
Well, 80 of his 202 hits last year did go to right field.
Curveball bounced towards short, scooped up by Adams. And they're saying that he got him out right there. Bruce Fleming says he was able to hang on to the ball, touch the base, and got him out. Joe Torre's going to come out and discuss. Hill apparently able to hold on. Yankees leave him loaded. No score. Let's take another look at that play. What do you think?
Looks to me like the Blue Jays got a big break.
Catalinato starts things off. Laces one out towards left center. Matsui over to cut it off. Catalinato racing for second and slides in with a double. So after what appeared to be a break on a missed call by Bruce Fleming, Catalinato gets the inning off to a good start.
Well, take a look at it again. Aaron Hill trying to find the base with 1 foot and reach for the ball, and it looks like it hits off the end fingers of his glove and never really ends up in the pocket of his glove. And Bruce Fleming's on the inner part of the infield and could not see where the ball hit his glove. And unfortunately, I think he did get that one wrong.
And that was the argument by Joe Torre, was that Bruce was shielded. He never saw lack of possession. And you see where Bruce is. He just can't see whether he's got possession or not.
Have to credit Johnny Damon on first for good hustle, trying to make it a very close play at second base.
See, Fleming made the call immediately, the veteran did, and then explained to Damon and then subsequently Joe Torre that he felt that Hill had the ball long enough.
And in the meantime, Matsui made a terrific play in left center field, but just couldn't get the throw there quickly enough for Catalinato.
You know, it's interesting on the play that Matsui made on that ball Catalinato hit. The turf slowed that ball up a little bit, so Matsui had a chance to make the play. If that gets by him on a little faster surface, that's a triple for Catalinato.
No score in the fourth. Man in scoring position for the Blue Jays. And Vernon Wells is off to a hot start. 0 for 1 today. And a tapper to Messina, the Gold Glover, fires him out.
Now, Vernon Wells is off to a good start so far this year, but that pitch right there, that swing, is indicative of the problem that he occasionally has. One of the things he's improved on is taking the pitch on the outer part of the plate, driving it to right field. We've seen in 2 at-bats today him try to pull that pitch on the outer part of the plate. You see right there, he gets around that ball instead of waiting for it to get deep in the zone and hitting it to right. And his job right there with a man on second, nobody out, is try to drive it in. But if you don't, try to advance the runner to third base.
So Cano better keep a close eye on Catalinato because he's getting a huge jump out at second. Turned out to be a bad at-bat for Wells, because if he does anything to move along Catalinato, it's an easy run batted in for Troy Gloss. Turns out now he's got to get a base hit to drive him home.
Gloss, who came over in the deal that sent Batista and Hudson to the Diamondbacks. And Gloss came over with a shortstop prospect, Sergio Santos. Pickoff play on. Catalanato back.
Sergio Santos is going to be a very good player. The Diamondbacks didn't want to give him up, but in order to take the amount of money that Toronto took along with Troy Gloss, because he was signed to a big contract, they had to throw in a pretty good prospect, and Santos is just that.
Cena missing outside, 1-1.
Now, third base has been a position that has been a little bit of a problem for the Blue Jays offensively. They just haven't had that power production in the corners because power costs money. They haven't had money. Now with some young players on the team and additional payroll, it gives them the ability to go out and spend and bring in a big bat in the corner of the infield.
Gloss lays off the 1-1.
Catalanato's pretty much going to run on just about every one of these outfielders. Damon doesn't throw very well. Sheffield used to have a great arm. Now it's merely a good arm in right field, and Matsui's arm is adequate in left. But with the ball getting the outfielders slowly, you figure they're going to test them.
Now the 2-1. Big swing and a miss.
Well, and the outfield playing deep because of the power potential of Gloss. Any single is going to be very difficult to be able to make a play at the plate. In Gloss's first at bat, Messina got him with 2 strikes and threw a 90-mile-an-hour fastball by him. The first pitch in this at bat, same thing. He ran a fastball by him, almost like Gloss was looking for that breaking pitch. We'll see what he throws in here.
Gloss with 2 home runs last night. He's got 5 on the season. Big swing and a miss. Off speed downstairs, and he chased it.
Well, you see Messina going with the changeup right here. A little posh ball changeup just drops right down out of the zone there. And that's almost unfair. He throws a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. He's that big break-in knuckle curveball, and then that exceptional changeup as well.
Well, that's one of the concessions that he's made to the aging process, is he's throwing more changeups, cutting his fastball on occasion. It used to be just hard fastball, knuckle curve, and that would be it.
Well, Mike Messina, consistency, 225 major league wins, but never having won 20 games in a season.
Hard to believe, and it's also hard to believe when you talk about the heroics of Pedro Martinez that Messina has more wins than Martinez. But to get to 225 and never have won 20 games is a good trick.
Yeah.
I think Posada's going out and saying, look, Overbay can hit the ball anywhere and is a pretty decent hitter. You've got a right-hander in Hillebrand on deck, so let's be careful. And it could very well be that they might be wanting to change the signs, because you've had Catalanato on second base to start the inning. And many times when you're on your third hitter, they change the signs because they don't want him talking about location to the hitter.
How frequently does that type of thing go on in the average game?
Well, with veterans, it goes on a lot. If you've got a guy out there who starts at second base, and he's been out there a while, you just want to make sure he's not going to be able to read the signs as much as he's going to be able to give location. You want to make sure he doesn't do that, so you stay in the middle of the plate as long as possible, and then you'll move.
And you're right. I think they did switch up the signs, because now there seems to be some confusion. Posada and Messina going to regroup and try to figure out where they're going to go here.
See Messina covering his mouth and talking to Jorge Posada. Go back to that 89 championship series, the Cubs and the Giants, and Greg Maddux, supposedly Will Clark, read his lips to throw a fastball, hit the decisive grand slam in that series, and Maddox has covered his mouth with his glove ever since.
Is that, Stoney, why you cover your mouth up here in the booth?
Exactly right.
Overbay pulled the hands in tight, takes a strike, and it's 1-2.
Lyle Overbay, a doubles machine as a hitter. Hit 53 doubles a couple years ago for the Brewers, leading all of baseball. And good young hitters that hit for average and hit doubles, you tend to think will ultimately turn those doubles into home runs as they start to look for the pitch that they can get to drive. And I think that's some of the thought they have for Overbay, is that those doubles are going to turn into home runs.
Well, he's on his third organization because he uses the whole field. I don't think he's ever going to be a real powerful first baseman, but he's always going to be able to hit. He's a line drive hitter, alley to alley, and was with the Diamondbacks, was with the Brewers, and now he's exactly that way with the Blue Jays.
They're having a lot of trouble getting together.
The reason he's here is that Prince Fielder had to have a place to play, and that place was first base for the Brewers.
Messina finally ready. And Overbay lays off. Yeah, it's amazing. 87 doubles the last 2 years combined. He actually doesn't have one yet this year, which is very odd because he's got that, as you mentioned, good gap-to-gap type power.
See, I was setting it up that he might possibly get it right here. But that's all right.
Lays off there, and now it's 3-2.
Well, Messina's just trying to get him out of the strike zone because he's got first base open. He knows that. He's pitching to him like that. I wouldn't be surprised if he did it again. Threw it out of the zone, and if Overbay wants to swing at it, that's fine.
And he gets a piece to stay alive. It remains 3-2 with 2 outs and a man at second. Still scoreless here at the Rogers Center. The former Sky Dome. Roof is open. Gorgeous day. You see it? Had a good crowd last night. About 48,000. And the Yankees are always going to draw. 3-2. And that one in the air. Matsui makes the grab. That's that. Jays can't do anything with the leadoff double. Heart of the order. Sheffield, A-Rod Giambi coming up. Still scoreless. You see the folks enjoying lunch out in center field. That is a nice view right there.
What's the name of that restaurant?
I believe it is called Sight Lines.
I'd like to put an order in myself.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little hungry.
We'll send something up to you.
There's Sheffield. And that one missing upstairs. Gary, 3 out of 25 in his career against Ted Lilly, but he's 2 for 2 today.
And Lilly has 82 pitches, and we're just starting the 5th inning. So they will go to the bullpen today.
Gary Sheffield, what you would call a dead pull hitter quite often, and Larry Boa, the third base coach, trying to find a position where he can coach from third base and stay safe from a line drive off of Sheffield's bat. He's playing shallow left field, coaching from shallow left field.
Well, he came up with a good position here. When we saw him at Yankee Stadium last time, he was in a very bad position.
Well, runner on second base, he tries to get down the line toward the hitter to wave him around if he has to, but I told him he's going to have to wear a helmet out there. He says, I still can't figure out where I'm supposed to stand.
Yeah, I saw him the last 5 years of his career, and his reflexes weren't that good.
I think the helmet Greg Zahn's wearing behind the plate today would be ideal for Boa, coaching third. He could just run over to the dugout, put it on.
Yeah, it is not safe over there with Sheffield at the plate. I still can remember when Mark McGwire was playing for the Cardinals. Rene Latchman would coach third by the tarp rolled up down the left field line. Lilly's 3-2 to Sheffield. And a foul ball, they'll do it again.
Well, you want to see a grown man shriek like a little girl. Have Mark McGwire hit a laser at your coach in third base over there. That will scare you.
Fans are telling Larry to move a little closer. He's saying, no, I'll move a little further away.
I'm just fine where I am. You'll get a piece of that one. Ted Lilly making just his third start. He had some back and shoulder problems that caused him to miss his first start. Actually, back and shoulder problems in the non-throwing shoulder. Former 23rd round pick of the Dodgers in '96, now 30 years old. Sheffield hits this one a mile high. Zahn over there, Gloss 2, and Gloss makes the grab almost over Randall.
Well, normally you'd say it's a much easier play for the third baseman, and usually it is. But Troy Gloss came an eyelash from overrunning that ball.
Now coming up Thursday night baseball, the Devil Rays at the Fens to take on the Red Sox. ESPN 7:30 Eastern. Boston atop the East, a 10-4 record. And the pitching matchup, that'll be Scott Kazmir, the left-hander, against the knuckleballing right-hander Tim Wakefield. And again, that is tomorrow on ESPN 2. Alex Rodriguez getting into this one, driven well, deep left field, and gone. A laser beam of a home run for A-Rod, 5th of the year, and the Yankees have taken a 1-0 lead.
Home run number 5, his 12th, batted in, and we go back to the double steal a couple of innings ago that took the bat out of his hands, and this is the one guy that's absolutely crushed Ted Lilly during the course of his career.
Well, A-Rod went up there looking for his pitch. He got a fastball down to the zone, and Lilly came in the strike zone. Alex Rodriguez drove it out. That just sounded like it was going out of the ballpark.
Well, the only doubt about that was would it go over the wall or through the wall, because it was hit awfully hard.
Sciambi up here 0 for 2. And he pops this one up. Shallow right. Rios and Hill. It'll be Rios to make the grab. Second out of the inning. Back to A-Rod, the home run. The 28th that he has hit here at the Rogers Center. That is the most of any visiting player.
I'd say that means he likes to hit here. And if you had the money, you'd try to get him to play here, because if he hits that well when he comes in as a visitor, you'd like to see what the home numbers might look like.
I'll tell you right now, $252 million translated into Canadian, it's not as big a difference.
Not anymore, right?
I mean, you know, Stoney could pay that out, I'm saying. Personally, I wouldn't be able to roll out the bank.
Well, I would think that they would just absolutely love to have that obligation of $25 billion a year for a few more years.
I think the Yankees might want to keep him the way he's played for them since coming in, the MVP last year.
And he's turned into a Gold Glove caliber third baseman.
Yeah, you see Lilly drop down that time with Matsuya. So that's the analysis right there. You think the Yankees would like to keep A-Rod? Is that what you're going to stick with?
As an analyst?
Nice.
Yes, that's what I'm going with.
Well, actually, they've cut way back on payroll, you know, from last year to this. They're down, what, at $189 million? They got plenty of room to keep him around.
Talked about Hideki Matsui playing in his 501st consecutive game today. 250 hitter as a daytime player, hitting 308 at night.
And that one ripped fair down the first base line. Rios over to pick it up, quickly retrieves it, fires it back in, and he holds Matsui to a loud single.
He obviously thought it was getting dark out.
Well, that's 1 for 3. I think it means he won't get a hit his next time up. And
he hit that daylight out of that one.
Hit that one well. But Alex Rios gets over quickly. A very strong outfield arm from the outfield.
Here in Toronto at the Rogers Center, day baseball, Yankees and the Blue Jays. John Sciambi alongside Steve Stone and Steve Phillips. Out on the mound, Brad Arnsberg alongside Greg Zaun and Ted Lilly, who's closing in on the 100-pitch mark.
And that's one of the reasons why he's out there, because this Yankee team, even when you get them out, even when you shut them down, makes you throw a lot of pitches. And at times, Lilly's been his own worst enemy, not able to shut the door after getting 2 quick outs. So as he's nearing the 100-pitch mark, the bullpen is starting to get to work for the Blue Jays.
Posada rips that one to left. So back-to-back 2-out singles. Jason Frazier up.
Bullpen, by and large, has been pretty good for the Blue Jays this year. They didn't want to get to them in the 5th inning, and that's going to depend on how Lilly fares with Cano, who had a ringing base hit last inning. And Cano has been one of the left-handers that's hit Lilly well in their brief appearances.
Balanced swing right there.
I'm talking to John Gibbons before the game. He said, you know, the middle relief has been a little shaky, but we have confidence in these guys. The bullpen last year, a 3.81 earned run average, did a very solid job for them, and effectively the same personnel back this year, just a change in the closer's role.
Cano takes a fastball for a strike. That one at 91. From Ted Lilly.
Well, he's been ecstatic with Sean Weiss and Spire. They've been terrific, and of course getting the ball to B.J. Ryan, that's been it. But like most managers, you worry about a couple guys you have in the middle.
Here's the 0-2. Line drive left field, base hit. They're going to hold Matsui as the throw cut off, and now they've got Posada hung up. Matsui, is he going to score?
I believe he scored.
Yes, he did. Gloss put the tag on Posada. Gibbons out to argue with Brian Runge, who pointed to the plate to say that the run scored before the tag was applied.
I'll tell you what, guys, I don't think the run did score before they applied that tag.
Well, we'll sort it out when we come back. Yanks get another run. It's 2-0 New York. There's Shea Hillenbrand taking a strike on the outside edge. Yankees lead it 2-0. Interesting play to end the 5th. And we will take a look at that in a moment. John Gibbons was not happy with the call from the plate umpire Brian Runge, the 0-1, and it's downstairs. Hillenbrand a single to right. One of 2 Blue Jays hits today off Mike Mussina, who's been sharp. Getting ahead and very efficient with his pitch count.
Last inning he was awfully tough because Catalinato led off with a double, and that's as far as he got. That's a good piece of pitching when you go right through the heart of a very potent Blue Jay order. And the Yankees turned some very bad base running into some gold, although not without controversy, if no place else but up here in the booth.
Lays off the 1-2 fastball.
We talked about Shea Hillenbrand not being overly happy about being the designated hitter. He's typically, every April, he's a .325 hitter on average in his career. This year, off to a very slow start. I think he's attributing that to being the DH.
Right into his thumbs, and that one popped out.
Usually in April, the ball goes a little further for him. We're going to take a look at that controversial play that started out with some bad base running.
They get Jorge Posada in the rundown. You see Russ Adams going to apply the tag. He has him tagged, and he's looking back to home plate. Matsui still not having stepped on the plate. Now he's on the plate. I think that the Yankees caught a break.
So it looks like John Gibbons has a legit beef. Steve Phillips, what about fundamentally how they did that rundown?
Well, when you have a rundown play and you're waiting for that throw as the runner is moving towards you, you're taught, the man with the ball is taught to run the runner, get him going hard in a direction. You saw Aaron Hill had Posada running hard to third base, but Russ Adams was standing flat-footed on the bag at third to catch the ball and they move. He should have been moving toward the ball to get momentum so that when he caught it, he would have been able to make the tag more quickly on Posada, making it clear that Matsui had not scored.
Greg Zahn getting the start today as Molina sits. Let's take another look at that rundown.
You see Aaron Hill moving toward the play as the throw goes to second. Aaron Hill doing what he has to get him running hard, but Russ Adams got to be moving toward the base runner when he receives that ball. If he had done that, he would have made the tag more quickly, and it wouldn't have been any question about the run scored.
Did he go? Yes, he did. Zahn down on strikes. Messina now with a half-dozen punch-outs, 2 away.
Messina's had a really sharp breaking ball today, and the Blue Jays aren't able to pick it up. You can see Zahn out front. He went around too far. You see that knuckle curve with the index finger raised. Why it's so tough is the hitter can't differentiate that from a fastball until it's too late. They commit, and so far they haven't been doing much of anything with Messina.
And strike 1 to Alex Rios, a home run last night. He's got 5. He didn't hit his 5th home run last year until the 21st of June.
Well, they've been waiting for this young man to come around. He's 6'5". He's probably going to grow to about 210 pounds before it's over. It looks like he could be an everyday right fielder.
Now, when scouts go out and draft young high school kids and Rios from Puerto Rico, they close their eyes and dream about what they can become. When they look at their frame, what they can grow into, they have visions of this kid being a big power-hitting right fielder, and he's finally growing into that frame.
Well, they've got 5 first-round picks in this lineup. Adams, the shortstop, a former first-round pick. Wells, a former first-round pick. Rios, Hill as well, and then Gloss, who was a first-round pick of the Angels.
And that's one of the things that differentiates your scouts, the ability to take a look and predict the ceiling, because a lot of guys with a stopwatch can take a look at a guy and see if he has talent today. What that ceiling is going to look like 4 years or 5 years from now is something that separates the men from the boys as far as your scouts are concerned.
And it's one of the differences today. A lot of teams prefer to draft college players where there's less projection, there's less distance from what you are today to what you can become, but it's a safer bet with less risk.
Line drive caught by Cano. Mike Messina has been outstanding. 5 shutout innings, 2 hits, and the Yankees lead 2-0. Back here at the Rogers Center in Toronto, Canada, as the Yankees lead the Blue Jays 2-0. Alex Rodriguez with a solo home run in this one. And the new pitcher on the hill, Jason Frazier, deals a strike to Andy Phillips.
He's from Chicago, Illinois. Last year, very durable. 67 appearances, a 3.25 ERA. And at 5'10", 170 pounds, you got to like this style of pitcher. Compact. You don't have that big motion to worry about. You don't have that large body to get injured all the time.
He's like a giant to you, though, isn't he?
I've always looked up to him.
Well, this is one of those where you talked about in the broadcast booth, 2 guys pulling in opposite directions. You have Andy Phillips, who's related to Steve Phillips, and then you have the little right-hander on the mound, and Stoney, you're rooting for him. So,
you know, big boy, I'm not sure I go down that road. You have a very vindictive guy here in the middle of the booth.
That's a good point. Frazier gets Phillips. And One down, bases clear, back to the top of the order. Check out our starting pitcher comparison. Lilly just didn't throw enough strikes.
Well, he threw a whole lot of pitches, and unfortunately, he would get 2 quick outs and then get himself in trouble. Didn't throw all that badly. This is a loaded offensive Yankee team, and he held them to just 2 runs. But you get to 100 pitches, more times than not, your manager is going to come get you, and that's one of the big problems. When you have 2 outs, you got to wipe that team out of the inning and get yourself into the 7th, and it makes it a lot easier to mix and match out of your bullpen, especially with Schoenweiss and Spire, and of course B.J. Ryan, the guy they got to close it off at the end, who's done a terrific job.
Yeah, one of the things John Gibbons pointed out, and you look at what you'd like out of a closer, a guy who gets swings and misses. B.J. Ryan gets swings and misses.
Well, there's times when you're going to come in and you're going to need no contact. And the Billy Wagner type of closer, the B.J. Ryan type of closer, are guys who can come in when the opposition might need a sacrifice fly. They just don't give it to him.
You know, one of the interesting things about their signing B.J. Ryan and then going after A.J. Burnett is, you know, typically when you give big contracts like that, 5 years, $55 million to a guy, you know, you're doing it because of his track record. They didn't do that for Ryan or for Burnett. They did it for what they hope they're going to be, what they have the potential to be for this team. And it's different. I mean, it's different than giving that money to a Roger Clemens who's done it for 10 years than it is to doing it to A.J. Burnett, who was a 49-50 career pitcher coming in here to Toronto, or for B.J. Ryan, who only had 42 career saves. They gave him the money hoping they're going to continue and grow their performance for the long term.
Also, there was a tremendous scarcity of both closers and starters on the free agent market this year.
Coming up tonight, Wednesday Night Baseball on ESPN, 2:07 Eastern. Indians at the Orioles. Indians tied with the White Sox atop the Central. Pitching matchup in that one, it'll be Jake Westbrook and Rodrigo Lopez. You see the start that Westbrook is off to 2-1, and the Indians dropping 15 runs on 20 hits. I mentioned earlier about guys with good two-seam fastballs. Jake Westbrook certainly someone with a good two-seam fastball. And a little delay for a moment as a fan has gotten loose on the field, and security doing its best to corral him, and they have done so.
Good reflexes by security.
You know, we talked about the remake of the Blue Jays, and we talked about Vernon Wells in center field, but with the infield, that's where there have been some questions. There are scouts who will tell you that if they could make decisions for Toronto, they would move Aaron Hill from second to shortstop, Russ Adams from shortstop to second, and take Troy Gloss and move him to first base. That they're out of position ultimately for where they should be playing on a field.
Well, Gloss has done a pretty decent job so far at third, and if you're looking for a hit and run or a straight steal, here's the situation to use it.
Throwing off his form.
Well, his knees last year were a problem. He took 3 cortisone shots in his knee before the All-Star.
John Smoltz is in a tough spot here.
Yeah,
Joe.
Chip, I don't know how he's going to get this out.
Well, here comes the brain trust for a little powwow on the mound. All right, well, looks like they got a plan. Smoltz leans in, and he deals.
Got it! See ya!
Need little help this season? The Home Depot has great lawn-saving Scotts products, including Scotts Turf Builder, Roundup, and more. The Home Depot, proud sponsor of
It sounds a little bit like the Mets with Matsui and Reyes and what they ended up doing.
Well, both players came up as shortstop. Hill came up as a shortstop as well, but played a lot of third base last year. The transition to second. Aaron Hill has the better arm, but Russ Adams was the shortstop. He just happened to be here, so they opted not to make any sort of switch and just try to insert Hill over at second base.
I understand we've had some technical difficulties. You apologize for that and welcome you back. Throw getting past Hillenbrand. Hill over to pick it up, and Damon scooting down to second, and he'll stop there.
Well, that's what the threat of speed will do for you. Frazier throws it away. Charged with an error. Now you don't have to worry about the hit and run or the stolen base.
Johnny Damon successful in his last 16 stolen base attempts, so they know he is a threat. He's expanded that lead with a foot on the turf. And he short hops it. Hildebrand really has no chance as that ball gets by him, and error on the pitcher.
How much do you guys expect Johnny to run this year? I mean, the last 2 seasons, he's been a 18, 19 stolen base a year type of guy. Red Sox really aren't big fans of the stolen base.
He told us that he has the green light to go whenever he wants to go. But take a look at those hitters behind him. I mean, you're talking about Jeter, Sheffield, and A-Rod, and Sciambi has been as hot as anybody. It's tough to make a great case for continuing to run with those kind of hitters behind you, but you're going to get the rare day where it's going to be a close game and you're going to need some speed, and Damon doesn't have the speed he used to have, but he's still got enough of it.
Yankees up 2-0, looking for more. This to third, Gloss. And a nice dig over there by Hillenbrand, 2 down. Do you guys think that stuff is cyclical? I mean, of late, we've seen the game moving a little bit away from the stolen base. I mean, the Florida Marlins won in 2003, and obviously with Juan Pierre and Luis Castillo, but the last couple of years, you haven't really seen too much of the way of stolen bases. Will that change?
I think it has to do with personnel and what league you're in. You got the designated hitter and you have Thunder in the middle of your lineup, you're not going to run as much. But if you don't have that, if your lineup dictates you're not going to hit the ball out of the park, you have to run.
Yeah, I think it is about personnel, but I think you see some philosophies now. The money ball philosophy is don't risk outs. Don't give the other team an opportunity to get an out. And I think that it's all about percentages.
Loss scooping this one up. And a nice dig.
It's nice talking to you, Steve. We'll get back to you later on.
We'll continue that discussion on the other side. Yankees lead this one. Well, they're brewing up the food there at Sightlines Restaurant in the outfield.
Steve Phillips' favorite, rodent on a stick.
I'm starving. That looks good.
Anything looks good.
Yankees up 2-0. Back to the action in Aaron Hill. And Mike Messina deals down low. He's given up just 2 hits. Steve Phillips, I'd love to wait to ask you about the money ball stuff. But first, Messina handles that chance. Figure I'd wait till there's one more out, and then we'll get your take. You were saying...
I really don't have anything to say at all about that anymore.
No, I was going to say, wait till 2 outs and then get into Middle East peace. See if you can explain it.
Absolutely.
No, but I think the stolen base, it is about personnel, but it's also about risk. Teams today value outs. They don't want to sacrifice bunt. They don't want to do it. The Boston Red Sox are a pure example. They're talking about Coco Crisp getting 50 stolen bases. Philly stole 45 as a team last year. They're not going to give them that many opportunities to steal bases.
I think it's a completely different situation if you're in the American League with the DH or the National League. There's some National League lineups that don't have the Thunder that have to try to create some runs. Sometimes you're going to face a pitcher that's just going to completely shut you down. You may get 1 or 2 chances to score, and you might have to either bunt or hit and run your way into a victory. And other teams just will not run regardless of what the situation is. And the Red Sox and Yankees have pretty much been that way.
I mean, there's constantly shifts in philosophy. Today's game is more of a run-scoring, offensive, crooked number type game than it was 30 years ago.
Well, don't forget, everybody is saying now as we come out of what will be known as the steroid era that the new era in baseball will be one of small ball. Guys will run more. Guys will bunt more. So far, we haven't seen a whole lot of that.
This one flared out there to left as Matsui pulls up. So Adams the other way, and a base hit for the Jays. Folks, watch your team's out-of-market games live from anywhere. Live Major League Baseball right to your desktop. You go to ESPN.com, search MLB.tv, and sign up today. Yeah, baseball on your computer. A great resource for any fan or broadcaster.
Stoney. That's
A great resource.
Yeah.
You can vouch for that, can't you?
I certainly
You've
can.
heard it's a great resource.
Yes.
The computer world just has pretty much passed you by.
I would say that in the information superhighway, you're on the shoulder, right? That would pretty much be it.
I can get email. I just can't email anybody.
I know that reply button is really difficult to figure out. Catalinato up here, 1 out of 2. And he takes a strike. Frank Catalinato having some words with Brian Runge, does not like that last strike call. I think he's arguing it was upstairs, maybe a bit in.
Well, completely different at bat if you're down 0-2, especially to a guy with the breaking ball that Messina's thrown today. And the bullpen up and going once again for the Blue Jays.
Catalinato flares this one right center. That'll drop down, gets past Sheffield.
That ball was played very poorly because either Sheffield or Damon would have had that ball, could have had that ball, and should have had that ball, but neither of them took control, and a little flare out in no man's land goes as a base hit.
Well, they both had very poor jumps on the ball. Gary Sheffield takes a bad route, goes after it half-heartedly, and I think Johnny Damon thought Sheffield was going to make a play on it with the angle that he took. I'll tell you that the Yankees' play so far this year has been a little sloppy. Sheffield last night, fly ball to right field, kind of lets the ball get behind his line of sight and drops it. And it's been sloppy play. Hideki Matsui's had some mental errors in the outfield, throwing the wrong bases. Randy Johnson didn't cover first base yesterday.
This is not a real good defensive New York team. They're going to be able to pound you offensively, and occasionally they're going to be able to shut you down with their pitching. But outside of the two guys who play the left side of the infield, this isn't a great defensive club.
Here's Wells at the plate. Outstanding two-way player taking a strike. 0 for 2. He's off to a good start. Mentioned it earlier. Career, he's 221 in April, 191 last year, and you see the numbers so far this season. So a hot start for a change for Vernon. For 2 here today, and is able to lay off that one. There are the numbers we mentioned.
Wells talked about how this offseason he started working on an entire month earlier, and he played in the World Baseball Classic, got some live game at bats earlier, and he says that helped him a lot to prepare for the start of this season.
Towards the hole, base hit. Adams towards third. They're going to send him. He'll score no problem. RBI single. Vernon Wells continues his hot April. It's a 2-1 game.
If you're giving away outs, eventually the big hitters of the other team are going to come through and burn you, and that's exactly what Wells did.
Well, again, the ball that they set up outside didn't quite get there, and Wells still able to pull it through the hole. And again, the slow turf slows that ball down. Hideki Matsui can't quite get to it quickly enough to be able to make a throw. They're sending him all the way. Blue Jays on the board.
So Vernon Wells with the RBI, his 13th of the season. And now Gloss is off to a good start, but 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts this afternoon. And he fouls off that fastball. This was Troy Gloss last night. Mammoth homer against the big unit in the first.
And he's got a classic uppercut swing of a home run hitter. When he hits them, they go 8 miles up in the air.
Gloss with his 19th career multi-homer game last night helped the Blue Jays to the 10-5 come from behind win. Kind of jumps out at you, doesn't it? I mean, the frequency of the The home runs right there.
Especially when they put that yellow thing around his head. It really kind of jumps out at him. That's what you meant, right?
Yes, absolutely.
How about that? Once every 16.
That's a pretty good company.
Louse right here in an 0-2 hole. Swing and a miss. He got him for the third time today. Troy Gloss strikes out again.
Messina saved some of his best pitches for Troy Gloss today. I mean, he's gone with that changeup a couple times. He's run a fastball by him. And Gloss in the RBI situation there, that changeup just hangs and hangs and hangs. And it's just like he had the string on it. He pulls it back just as he's starting to swing. And got it up in the zone, which can be dangerous, but just soft enough to get by him.
I think Messina got away with a mistake, and that's why Gloss looked out at him, because although it was a changeup, it wasn't one of those that just dove out of sight. It stayed there. He just was well out in front of it.
Messina trying to pick up his second win of the season here today. And a little roller to first. Phillips calls him off. That's the inning. Messina gives up a run on the Wells RBI single, but the Jays strand two. Yankees still lead this one 2-1. 2-1 game. Little miscommunication in the outfield leading to that Blue Jays run. Lee Mazzilli talking with Gary Sheffield and Johnny Damon. Ball off the bat of Frank Catalinato that fell in for a hit. Alex Rodriguez up here takes ball one. A-Rod's walked twice and hit a solo homer. That was in the fifth. One missing down low from Jason Frazier.
You know, you saw that Lee Mazzilli talk with Damon and Sheffield. Remember, new center fielder, new communication with the corner outfielders. The center fielder is the captain in the outfield, but it sure looked like Sheffield was taking an angle to try to play that ball, and I think Damon backed off on it.
I think that's exactly what happened, because Damon took the circuitous route, thinking Sheffield had it all the way. Sheffield was probably waiting to hear Damon say something, and he didn't say anything. So when guys get together, it's early in the season. You just want to make sure it doesn't happen again.
So Frazier has fallen behind Rodriguez 3-0 and deals up and in a 4-pitch walk. The leadoff man aboard to start the seventh.
Could very well be that Frazier, who's never retired A-Rod, 4 for 4 lifetime, just didn't want to throw to him because he didn't come close.
John Gibbons out. Pitching change here in Toronto. Back to the new pitcher after this. Putting out. Yankees leading 2-1. New pitcher, this left-hander, Scott Schoenweis. He has been sharp.
He hasn't given up anything this year, and he really is following up on the heels of last year when he moved into the bullpen full-time. 80 appearances for these Blue Jays. The ERA of 3.32. This was a guy that used to be a starting pitcher. Not really overpowering with anything. You have to learn to come out of the bullpen, and what they learned was he was very durable. You appear in 80 games, and you've got some tremendous value if you throw with your left arm.
Yeah, Schoenweis played his college baseball at Duke, battled testicular cancer while in college, and eventually a third-round pick of the Angels, and became a starting pitcher for them. Got to deal with Jason Sciambi right now.
They've got the severe shift on, so you're going to see the third baseman Troy Gloss as the middleman if there's a double play.
Schoenweis had developed into a starter with the Angels, and then they had moved him to the bullpen, and he really wanted to start. But I think that baseball people kept pushing him to the bullpen. I think he's finally realized his niche in this game is to be a lefty out of the pen and a guy who can get right-handers and left-handers out.
Sciambi going over for a quick word with Boa. What are they talking about?
Well, if they think that they've found something in the move of Schoenweis where they think they want to run here with A-Rod, He's probably telling Sciambi to take a pitch or so.
Or he may be saying with the shift on, don't be afraid to punch a bunt down the third baseline.
And that's exactly what he was trying to do right there.
Couldn't do much with the inside pitch, however.
Sciambi has done that a couple times when teams have put the shift on where he's tried to bunt for a hit. And it's a situation that doesn't have to be a perfect bunt. He can bunt it hard down the line is really what you want to do, where typically if somebody's playing there, you don't want to bunt it very hard. He can bunt it hard and get a base hit on it.
Rodriguez does not have an especially big lead over there. Yankees leading 2-1 in the 7th. John Sciambi, Steve Stone, and Steve Phillips. Gorgeous afternoon at the Rogers Center in Toronto. They've got the roof open for the first time this year. And that one rolling foul, first base side.
It was this sort of situation back in 2003 on opening day where Derek Jeter on first base, Sciambi at the plate, the big shift on in the infield where Sciambi hit a comebacker back to Roy Halladay. They threw to first to get Sciambi out. Jeter rounded second, went to third, and had the collision and dislocated his shoulder to start the season.
Yeah, missed 36 games. That was back in 2003. Injured that left shoulder in collision with Ken Huckabee.
And, of course, where is Ken Huckabee when the Blue Jays need him?
The 0-2. And that hit him. So Schoenweiss trying to come up and in, gets in a little too tight and plunks Sciambi.
Well, he's trying to set him up for the next pitch, which is probably going to be the breaking ball away. Unfortunately for Schoenweiss, this got a piece of the forearm, and the Yankees are in pretty good shape. See, that's what I want you to do. Be a little more manly. Don't rub that thing when you get hit. You know how much that had to hurt?
It doesn't hurt him. He didn't even wince.
Oh.
Don't make me separate you two.
It wouldn't hurt me. Stoney, as frail and slight as he is,
I'd still be on the ground. The trainer'd still be out there trying to revive me.
Matsui up here, 1 out of 3 with a single. First pitch swinging, fouls it off. Has not had a lot of success against Schoenweiss. 2 out of 16 in his career against this southpaw.
We saw Hideki Matsui last week at the plate with some bad at-bats where he was pulling off the ball, and then later in the game stayed on it, drove it to left field. That swing right there against the left-hander, he was opening up a little bit too much, pulling off the ball. He has the ability to make an adjustment from at-bat to at-bat and from pitch to pitch. He's got to stay back and think about left center field.
Now, despite the fact that he hasn't fared well against this guy, last season, no other left-handed batter posted a higher average against left-handed pitchers than Matsui. Hit .354 against them.
Well, if they throw fastballs away, they're giving him the whole left side to hit the ball through. Adams is playing right up the middle.
And that one just missed the strike zone.
You look at the defense, and you look how they choose to play it. So Adams is right in back of A-Rod. And they're playing him pretty much as a dead pull hitter against Schoenweiss, who doesn't throw overly hard.
The 1-1. Downstairs now Steve Stone. If you're going to defend that way, and maybe this is obvious, but you can't give him something middle out, correct?
Well, the problem with going inside on this guy is that you're playing your outfielders to hit him the opposite way. If he pulls the ball down the line, you've got some big problems. So it's a unique defense, and obviously they have the defensive charts on how he hits against Schoenweiss.
On the ground. Hill, there's 1. There's 2. Nicely done.
And apparently that's why they played him that way.
And pitched him that way. And that was a very well-turned double play. As we talk about this middle infield, Aaron Hill moves to his left, gets his feet set, good footwork, and a good quick turn, strong arm from second. Nice double play.
And there was no chance at all of Sciambi getting down there to break up two because the ball was hit real hard. Hill was standing right there. They positioned him perfectly, and just like that, what looked like a real promising inning. First and second, nobody out. It's turned into 2 outs and a man on third.
And now Posada with that one hit takes a pitch away for ball 1. Ted Lilly started for the Blue Jays. The former Yankee went 5. Gave up the 2 runs on 7 hits, but he walked 5. Mike Messina has been razor sharp today for the Yankees. Posada lays off there, and it's 2-0.
Well, now this is a 1-run game. This would be a big RBI for Posada. His 2-out RBIs are so critical in game situations to be able to tack on another run.
Towards the hole and through, and there is that 2-out RBI. Rodriguez in to score, and it's a 3-1 game. Big 2-out hit by Posada.
Well, that's why this Yankee lineup is so good, because they are relentless. They've left a lot of runners on base, but when you get that many guys on, sooner or later someone's going to find a hole and put it in play because there's so many good hitters. Posada gets the ball down and in. He just drops the bat head to the ball, punches it through the hole. Big RBI.
And it also plates a leadoff walk in an inning, and against a good offensive team, a leadoff walk will usually do you in.
And now Robinson Cano. He has 2 of the 8 Yankee hits this afternoon. Robinson Cano had an outstanding rookie season last year. Grew up, and his favorite player, Bernie Williams. So he was pretty fired up when he got a chance to become his teammate. Not quite sure how Bernie felt about that. On the ground, Adams taking it himself, and that's that. But the Yankees pick up an insurance run on the Posada RBI single. Midway in the 7th, it's stretch time, and the Yankees lead by 2. Folks, give a gift to more than just mom this Mother's Day. Major League Baseball is donating $1 from the sale of special pink ribbon caps and shirts to the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. For more information, please visit MLB.com. Here in the last of the 7th, the Yankees leading the Blue Jays 3-1. Mike Messina back to work. And Shea Hillenbrand fouls off that offering. Nothing in 1 on the first baseman, who's 1 out of 2.
And this is one of the things that Messina's done this entire season. This is his 4th start, and he's gotten the game into the 7th inning in all 4 starts. And so he's saved that bullpen, and that will put a smile on Joe Torre's face.
Well, they needed innings. He's given that to them. Quality innings. Hillenbrand chasing there.
And the reason he's been able to do that is he's thrown 20 out of 24 first pitch strikes to hitters. Working ahead of the count, 82 pitches, 62 strikes. I mean, that's how you go about getting yourself deep into the game.
And 0 walks. You can give up the base hits, just don't walk anybody ahead of the hitters.
Soft tapper, Messina. 1 down as Hillenbrand is gone. Oh, guys, Mike Messina has gotten a lot of swings and misses here today. Knuckle curve's been good.
He's had very good stuff today, and he's been deceptive with it. He's shown that he can get the straight change over the plate. And along with that knuckle curveball, he's had a lot of the Blue Jays off balance. And bear in mind, this is a very potent Blue Jays lineup.
That's right. They came in today leading baseball in batting average, 3rd in runs per game so far this year.
Now, obviously, they added Overbay, added Gloss, but it wasn't like it was a bad lineup last year. They were 5th in the league, 5th in the American League in runs scored. Zahn up here. Greg Zahn getting the start. Went out and signed Molina in the offseason, and he gets the day off. Zahn was disappointed because he had such a good year last year and figured now he was going to settle in as their everyday catcher. They did tell him he would play more than the average backup, and this is his 4th start.
Well, you're right. I mean, he was frustrated by it. Played a career-high 133 games last year. Really thought that he developed himself into an everyday catcher. But they had the opportunity late. The market kind of fell apart for catchers. They get Benji Molina, and now they have a tandem back there that they think could be productive offensively and in handling the pitching staff.
Zahn fouling that one back. Greg Zahn, you look at the beginning of the season, actually began the year with a straight calf on the disabled list, but both these guys can swing it pretty well. He's really turned his career around here in Toronto. Told me before the game, part of the reason he's been able to do that, he gave up drinking a couple of years ago, so that's something that has helped his career start anew in Toronto. Rolls that one to second. Cano picks it up 2 away.
Well, as good a catcher as Zahn is, and he is a good catcher, you couldn't pass on Benji Molina if you had a chance to get him for just 1 year, and that's what happened. I mean, Molina had 295 last year. He doesn't strike out. He struck out 41 times and 410 at-bats. I'm surprised that nobody else gave him a long-term contract, but as long as he was out there and they got him very late, he's a guy that you just had to take.
Now that market just dried up on catchers. Everybody had there were a lot of teams with young players who are going to give an opportunity to, and just not many takers available.
You heard different stories, but reportedly the Mets offered him 3 years, $18 million. He waited to get back. They in fact made the same offer to Molina and Ramon Hernandez, and then eventually dealt for LaDuca.
And that effectively wiped out that market.
Well, he figured hitting 295, and very few catchers can do that. As good a clutch hitter as he is, and as good a defensive catcher as he'd been, he thought that something's going to be there for him. Sometimes you might overestimate the market.
That one ripped fair down the left field line. Matsui quickly retrieving it, fires in a strong throw, but it's offline. And Rios picks up a 2-out double.
That's the 3rd laser Alex Rios has hit today. He is so locked in. I mean, he is driving the ball. A shot to third, a shot to second, now one down the line. Great balance at the plate. He looks so confident right now. One of the big adjustments they made was in the past, he kept collapsing and moving around his line of vision with his head. He looked very steady right there, very balanced. His head didn't move around, gives him a better line of sight and a well-balanced swing.
When you're a big guy, it becomes very difficult, and a lot of time it's real easy to get out front of just about everything, and as a young hitter, that's what he did. You can see why he's taken over as the everyday right fielder and why in the not-too-distant future he's going to hit for some big power.
A couple of groundouts for Aaron Hill today. First-round pick in 2003 out of LSU by the Blue Jays. He's an example of what Steve Phillips talked about earlier, drafting college guys. Russ Adams, same thing. College guy drafted out of North Carolina.
Well, J.P. Ricciardi from the Billy Bean philosophy, worked in Oakland with Billy, came here to Toronto, and so that view is, you know, if you're going to invest that kind of money, don't assume significant risk. Take that college player who you could be more predictably sure will get to the major leagues and be productive for you. It may not get necessarily the ceiling that some of the young high school athletes might give you, but a lot less risk.
Now, which college, refresh me, did Chavez and Tejada go to?
Lined on a hop to Jeter. Gobbles that one up. Nice play by the shortstop on a ball that was hit very, very hard by Aaron Hill. We played 7 at the Rogers Center in Toronto. Off to the 8th, and the Yankees have the lead.
ESPN's Day Game, brought to you by Scott's Turf Builder with +2 weed control for a beautiful weed-free lawn, guaranteed.
Benny Choke, the new pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays, and deals a nasty slider to Andy Phillips. Swings and misses.
There you look at the numbers so far this year. Opponents hitting .269, which is a little higher than Vinny would like. He's out of Miami, Florida. Last year, pretty good year out of the pen, 62 appearances and a .388 ERA. He ate up some innings when they played the White Sox. He was the first man out of the chute and gave him 3 very good innings of work. So he's a guy used mostly in the middle or in a game where they want to hold him and they don't want to go to their setup or closer. Vinny Schultz comes in, a valuable man to have on your team.
Phillips hits that one in the hole. Adams had trouble getting it out of his glove, and it's going to be an infield single for Andy Phillips. A 3-1 game here. Biggest play in this one, you could argue, 5th inning.
For Robinson Cano with the base hit, they catch Jorge Posada in a rundown here. A poorly executed rundown as Russ Adams goes and tries to make the tag. It looks like he does get him before Matsui scores the run, but Brian Runge behind the plate said the run counted.
Yeah, it looked like Adams put the tag on Posada before Matsui scored, but that is not the way it was ruled by Brian Runge.
And in a 2-run game, obviously that's a big play.
As was the call by Bruce Fremming out at second base. So we've had a couple of very close calls that in one way, shape, or form could have changed the outcome of the game.
That last base hit by Phillips plays into a lot of what we talked about with the speed of this field, where it slows the ground balls down, and Russ Adams at short, able to get to that ball, but not really having the footwork or the arm strength to be able to make a throw across the field.
Runner on the go. Damon gets a piece.
And the Yankee bullpen up and going for the first time today. So Joe Torre breaking out the hit and run. Kyle Farnsworth throwing in the New York bullpen.
Signed a big contract in the offseason. Hard-throwing right-hander. Yankees looking for some insurance here in the 8th, leading it by a pair. Phillips, the runner at first. Aboard on the infield hit. Damon at the plate. He's 0 for 2 with a couple of walks and takes a strike. Guys, we were talking about defense earlier. A number of reasons they signed Johnny Damon, but one of the reasons at the top of the list to help them defensively in center field because they needed improvement there.
Well, Bernie Williams was at the point of his career where he would DH and play a corner occasionally, but just couldn't play every day in that vast center field that is Yankee Stadium. And Johnny Damon can go get him alley to alley. One thing Johnny can't do particularly well is throw, but that's one of those things. The ideal player probably doesn't come along very often. We talked about it last week. Damon does 2 things for you. It took something away from your #1 competitor, the Red Sox, and added a whole lot to you.
Nice stop there by Zon. Phillips will hang on.
Well, this is the kind of situation Johnny Damon thrives in. He's one of the best 2-strike hitters in the game. For the last couple of years, he's averaging .271 as a hitter with 2 strikes, where the league average is .190. Has patience at the plate, not afraid of striking out, willing to take pitches, to wait for that one that he can deliver.
Here's a 2-2. And Damon staying alive. Coming up tonight, Wednesday Night Baseball on ESPN2. The Indians at the Orioles, 7 Eastern from Camden Yards. Indians and White Sox tied atop the Central. Indians went crazy last night, 15 runs on 20 hits. And the pitching matchup this evening, Jake Westbrook and Rodrigo Lopez. Broken bat, fly ball, center field. Chasing in is Wells. Nice running grab. And on the move, fires back to try and double Phillips. They can't do it, but a nice catch by the Gold Glover.
That was a tremendous play by Vernon Wells because it became obvious that Rios wasn't going to get to it. Pretty much he backed off and said, Wells, if you can get it, come get it. He did and almost turned it into a double play.
You don't make that catch for the last lunge. You make that catch because of the first step you play in the center field. Wells read that off the bat, saw the bat was broken, and quickly got a jump after it. Nice play. That's why he's won the Gold Glove for the last couple of years in center field.
Sun has been an issue today. And definitely difficult at times for the outfielders to get good reads. We saw earlier in the game on a ball that Gary Sheffield hit, Vernon Wells seemed to have a little bit of trouble. The numbers for Jeter against this righty.
Well, for the game, Vernon said because this is the first of the open roof afternoon games, he said he didn't know quite exactly what it would look like in center field. Now as the sun starts to move, he's probably seeing the ball a whole lot better because he had no problems with that last one, and that was a tough play.
Jeter cuts and misses right there. Derek had a tough afternoon against Ted Lilly. Now 2 out of 19 in his career against the southpaw. Minimum 15 ABs. No other pitcher gives him more trouble than Ted Lilly. The 0-2. Outside corner. Got him looking. Nice pitch by Vinny Cholk.
Derek Jeter didn't like the call by Brian Runge. But it looks like that's exactly where Zahn set up, and that's where Cholk threw it. He wants it low and away. He got it right there. If you're a hitter, you think it's a touch outside. If you're a pitcher, you got to have that one.
So what did you think?
Oh, it was perfect pitch.
I thought it was a little bit outside myself.
2 down with the man at first, and now Sheffield takes a strike.
That's where a veteran catcher is going to help you, because a veteran catcher is going to set up just a touch off the corner. He's going to use his catcher's glove and put most of the glove outside of the strike zone, where if you hit his catcher's glove, the ball's actually going to be just out of the zone. He's going to have just the outside finger of the glove on the outside part of the plate. And that's exactly what Zahn did, and Cholk threw it right there.
Swing and a miss from Sheffield. Cholk trying to finish off Shep. And leave Phillips over there at first. And a pitch out, nothing happening.
Phillips not much speed at first. John Gibbons figured maybe that Joe Torre try to get him going. 2 strikes, get a man in scoring position, take a shot, and if not, you have Sheffield leading off the next inning.
Sheffield laying off there, and now it's 2-2.
Zahn's done a nice job behind the plate, because there's been a couple of Blue Jay pitchers that have thrown the ball into the dirt or well wide of the plate, and Zahn has kept everything in front of him and caught most everything else.
A good catching genes in Zahn's family. Rick Dempsey, his uncle.
He was my catcher.
Hit him with the breaking ball.
That's never a particularly good idea when you have Alex Rodriguez in the on-deck circle. You keep the inning alive, and now you have to face a guy who has not been retired yet today. That ball just slipped out of his hands. That was a breaking ball, either a slider or a curve, that didn't really do much damage, except perhaps in the earned run department if A-Rod gets a hold of one.
Easy for you to say.
A-Rod got a hold of one back in the 5th. Only question on that home run, did it have the height? Yes, it did. Number 5 for Alex. He's got 28 in this park. No other visiting player has more home runs at the Rogers Center.
There are some players, when they hit the ball, it sounds different coming off their bat. Alex Rodriguez is one of those guys.
In there for a strike. Choke, the 4th pitcher used today by John Gibbons, Ted Lilly, Jason Frazier, Scott Schoenweiss, and now this right. Beautiful day with the roof open in Toronto. And another strike pumped in there quickly, 0-2.
And both bullpens up and going. This is probably the biggest out of the ball game for the Blue Jays. You don't get A-Rod here, you've got some problems.
Scott Downs, the lefty, up with Sciambi in the on-deck circle.
He both started and relieved in the same White Sox series in Chicago just a couple of days ago.
Swing and a miss, got him on the slider. Choke finishes off Rodriguez, and the Yankees strand 2. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. 1, 2, 3 for the Jays, including Vernon Wells. Coming up.
Is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
Just under 33,000 here this afternoon, including some young Yankee fans in training as the Yanks lead this one 3-1.
Well, apparently Mike Mussina has a little something left, because although the bullpen continues to work, he's out there to start the 8th inning.
Mussina's thrown 95 pitches. He'll deal with Russ Adams right here. He's 1 out of 3.
Mussina threw 115 pitches his last start against Minnesota, which is a lot.
I think if he's in any trouble getting into the Wells, Blouse, Overbay aspect of this lineup, then they'll go to the pen.
Here's a strike.
I think if Joe Torre had absolute confidence in an 8th inning pitcher, he might be out there right now. But I don't think he has that guy.
The bullpen has been somewhat of a mystery.
Line to right, Sheffield, a couple of steps in. And 1 away.
One of the things Joe Torre talked about before the year is he wanted to protect his veteran pitchers a little bit, limiting some innings and pitches early in the year that he could bring back later. But he also talked about trying to protect his bullpen, not bringing guys back-to-back days, but alternating. It's awfully tough to protect both the front end and the back end of the game. Something has to give.
Catalanato up here taking a strike. Frank Catalanato, who grew up a huge Yankee fan, huge fan of that guy. The hitman Don Mattingly. Got to meet him last year for the first time. Told me before the game it was an absolute thrill. Catalanato.
Did he get a chance to meet you?
Don or Frank? Because they were both really excited. It was hard to measure which one was more excited. I think Mattingly. No, I didn't get a chance to talk to Don before the game.
This is some coaching staff as far as the Yankees are concerned. 3 former managers.
How about Catalanato? Fists one over the head of A-Rod. 3rd hit of the game for the Long Island, New York native.
Well, the question is, do you leave in Mike Mussina now? Because he's getting a little tired late in the ball game. And to me, you got to go to the pen. And apparently that's what Mr. Torre is going to do.
Meeting on the mound, Joe Torre out there, and he's going to take the baseball from Mike Mussina. Kyle Farnsworth coming into this game. Mike Mussina outstanding here today. Back with more baseball after this. Yankees lead this one 3-1 here in the bottom of the 8th. Joe Torre going to the pen, replacing Mike Messina, who was efficient today and very sharp.
Kyle Farnsworth had a great year last year with Detroit and Atlanta. 2.32 ERA with Detroit, a 1.98 ERA with Atlanta. So far this year, it hasn't worked out very well for him, and both of those teams wanted Farnsworth to close. He felt much more comfortable coming to New York and being a setup man for Mariano Rivera. He also felt much more comfortable with what the Yankees were paying him over 3 years. But he can get the fastball up there close to 100 miles an hour. When he's right, he has an unhittable slider. And the question for Kyle Farnsworth will be, can he get the ball over the plate early in the count? If the answer is yes, you usually don't touch him. We'll see today which Farnsworth comes out of the pen.
Got to deal with Vernon Wells at the plate, who represents the tying run. And the first one to him, missing outside.
Well, you look for tests during the course of the year. This is a test for Kyle Farnsworth. Vernon Wells and Troy Gloss up the bat against him here. One of the things so far with Farnsworth, his velocity for his fastball has not been nearly as explosive this year as they have seen in the past.
Wells taking a strike here. I mentioned Kyle Farnsworth being signed by the Yankees. He's essentially replacing Tom Gordon. Now, you mentioned Farnsworth was wanted to close in 2 other spots, but elected to come here to set up. Gordon left because he wanted to close and got that chance with the Phillies.
Well, for Tom Gordon, who was a great closer at one point, then became a premier setup man, he wants to go back and have that challenge, and probably felt he was running out of time as to opportunities. So he went to Philadelphia. And for Farnsworth, he signed a big deal with the Yankees.
2-1 missing down low. Farnsworth has fallen behind Vernon Wells. 3-1.
This is where he gets in trouble, because he doesn't then use the slider 3-1. He'll go to a fastball. And if Wells is looking for something middle in, I don't care how hard you throw it, it's probably going to be a tie game.
Popped up. Cano out, Sheffield in. It'll be Cano. And Wells skying that one. Farnsworth records the second out of the inning.
The Yankees outfielders were in no double situation playing deep there. As you see, he's sitting on the fastball. He gets it. He just pulls off the ball a little bit, gets it off the end of the bat, pops it to right. And Gary Sheffield sure seems very disinterested in defense today. When that pop-up, to Cano, that's something that you would think the right fielder has to call him off. Cano went way out there to try to make that play.
Farnsworth not out of the woods here. Gloss, power hitting third baseman, 0 for 3, but you see 3 strikeouts.
Pretty much know when he says, it's all yours, Robinson.
But they were playing
deep. Go get it.
They're playing deep for no doubles, but he didn't come after it like he thought he should play it. I mean, we saw the play yesterday that he dropped, and a ball earlier today as well.
Swing and a miss there. Gloss couldn't catch up to that fastball.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the velocity today. Kyle is rushing it up there. He threw that ball right by him. And the 3-1 fastball to Vernon Wells, seemingly right down the middle, and Wells couldn't catch up to it.
This one in the air center field. Damon started back, now in. And puts the squeeze on it. That's that. Farnsworth records the 2 outs. We're going to the 9th with the Yankees leading. We go to the 9th at the Rogers Center in Toronto as the Yankees lead at 3-1. New pitcher. Here he is, the closer, B.J. Ryan.
Take a look at what he's done so far and realize just exactly why the Blue Jays spent a great deal of money to get him. He's awfully tough to hit. He's death on left-handers. And the right-handers haven't done such a great job against him either.
Bernie Williams is pinch hitting here for Jason Giambi, and the switch hitter fouls one off out of play.
Now, we talked about the test the previous half inning with Kyle Farnsworth coming into Vernon Wells, and Troy Gloss, I'd say he passed that test today.
He didn't throw one slider, but he did throw fastballs, and they were certainly in the upper 90s because neither guy could get around on him. And if you're asking why John Gibbons would put his closer into a situation like this, Ryan probably needs an inning of work, so he's trying to sharpen him up here.
Center field, just in front of the shade. Vernon Wells pulls it down. Coming up tomorrow night, ESPN 2, the Devil Rays in Boston, taking on the Red Sox at Fenway Park, 7 Eastern. Boston atop the AL East, they're 10-4. David Ortiz with 6 home runs already. In the pitching matchup, Scott Kazmir and Tim Wakefield. Getting a look right here in Toronto at the Blue Jays closer. How about the job by Jonathan Papelbon, the Red Sox closer?
He's one of the main reasons why the Red Sox are 10-4. They've had great starts out of Schilling and Beckett, but without the guy at the tail end and the saves by Papelbon, that team's not in first place. So although they'd like to use him as a starter eventually, they can't afford to right now.
I agree. I think with Keith Foulke struggling, they really have to leave Papelbon there. That's going to be a fun game to watch because Scott Kazmir, pitching for the Devil Rays, has had the Red Sox number. He has pitched very well against the Boston Red Sox, that explosive fastball. So it'll be a fun game to watch.
Matsui up here, 1 out of 4. Just gets a piece. 501 straight games played by Matsui to start his big league career. Nobody has ever done that. And again, to start a major league career. Got him swinging. Ryan fans Matsui 2 away. So from B.J. Ryan to Mariano Rivera, who is warming up, lurking in that bullpen, and that is who he will face. Due up in the 9th, Overbay, Hillenbrand, and Zahn.
In the last couple of years, Mariano has started out slowly, but when he found it, he was unhittable. And the Yankees are hoping that that's the case this year. And you saw with Ryan against Matsui, for whatever reason, and it's strictly deception, left-handers just don't pick up the ball until it's on the way to the plate, and they have almost no chance against him. Matsui, a great hitter against left-handers, just was overmatched by B.J. Ryan.
Well, if you're the Blue Jays, you want to get through this inning unscathed, and when you go Overbay, Hillenbrand, Zahn, you have Alex Rios up 4th, and he's the guy that has had the best at bats today for Toronto. You want to get somebody on and give him a chance to hit one out.
It's a good word, unscathed, by the way.
It is. Thank you.
It's the word of the day.
Thank you. Take notes, boys. Take notes.
Phillips with his thesaurus over there. Posada goes too far. And indeed, B.J. Ryan is unscathed. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Here comes Mariano Rivera. The Yankees leading by 2. Yankees lead it by 2 back here at the Rogers Center. All sorts of caps available. Well, there he is, the man sporting the Yankee cap, Mariano Rivera, in to close it out.
Well, last year was a tough start, very much like this year for Rivera. You might remember when he blew a couple of Red Sox games. All he did last year was 43 saves and a 1.38 ERA. The Yankees are hoping that the same thing happens this year as he tries to wrap it up in the 9th.
Overbay taking a strike. Rivera blew the save on Saturday in Minnesota as Morneau got him.
He did new right fielder Bubba Crosby in. There must have been something wrong with Gary Sheffield today because it's just defensively he did not look into the game. Joe Torre opting to go with young Crosby out there.
If you're a left-hander and you want to get some good swings against Mariano Rivera, you got to look for the ball coming in on your hands and hope to get it before it gets there. Because he will cut that fastball, and It looks like it's right there, sitting on a tee. Before you know it, either just tap it to the right side or pop it up.
It's a buzzsaw that can break a lot of bats as well.
And as well, hard to keep fair as a left-hand batter, right? Last couple of years, he's added the two-seamer to the repertoire.
And he also uses a backdoor slider. I mean, he'll throw it over the outside corner.
Right in on the thumbs of Lyle Overbay.
That's the pitch that we were talking about, where it looks like it's sitting out there and all of a sudden just disappears. And Overbay was barely able to get a piece of it.
You see that ball with late movement at the end. I mean, that's the difference. It looks like a fastball. It just runs in on the hands of the hitter.
Outside corner got him looking.
And that's the pitch we were talking about. What's called a backdoor slider. Catcher sets up away. You very much aware of the inside corner, and this ball just shaves off the outside corner.
Well, that's it. It's all about having a plan out there. Rivera came in, threw that cutter in on the hands, and all of a sudden Overbay says, boy, I better look out for that inside pitch. And then he goes away. Good communication, Posada, Mariano Rivera.
That's in a strike here to Shea Hillenbrand.
You're very rarely in this day and age going to see the closer and the catcher both developed and brought up by the same organization, but that's the situation with Rivera and Posada. They're both homegrown Yankee products.
Swing and a miss.
See Hillenbrand stand very close to home plate, led baseball last year with 20 hit by pitch. And look for him to try to find any way to get on base here to bring the tying run to the plate.
Well, Rivera noticed that and just threw a fastball right inside, threw it by him around letter high.
Rivera gets a piece. Cano barehanded, nice play.
It's one of the better plays you'll see by Robinson Cano, because Rivera redirects it, otherwise it's up the middle, and then you have to barehand it. He didn't know how much time he had. As it turned out, he had a whole lot of time.
That's an outstanding play. That ball was rolling very hard to be barehanded, but because of the angle that he took to go to the ball, originally trying to play it, then having to now play the deflection, it was really his only play. You're right, he had time, but the angle he had, it was really his only play to snag the ball.
And now Greg Zaun up here is 0 for 3.
See, now we know why Steve Phillips is up here, because he set up the whole inning, if you remember, around getting a man on for Alex Rios to be the fourth hitter because he's hit the ball so well. With that in mind, John Gibbons has Eric Hinsky in the on-deck circle.
Wow.
You know, I'm the one
that's like every week.
I point out to him Hinsky's in the on-deck circle, and he kills me with it.
Wow.
I just thought it was just ironic.
How did you enjoy the trap door he just pulled on?
Possibly there may be a bait and switch going to happen down there. They sent Hinsky out to fool him. They're going to run Rios back out there.
No, but your setup for that Rios was just exceptional.
Rivera's 1-2, and Zaun stays alive.
And the Yankees have sent a lot of folks north because they're screaming. Of course, the Blue Jay fans are home. Maybe that's why.
Time is called. You see Posada telling Rivera to step off the backside of the rubber. The 1-2 to Zaun. Wow, just missed.
Well, I think Posada, Rivera, and most of the Yankee dugout thought that was strike 3. Brian Runge, however, did not.
There's a possibility Zaun might have thought that was strike 3 as well. Pretty close pitch.
Pretty similar to the one that got Overbay looking. 2-2. And that ball hammered but foul.
So the question is, with Rivera's cutter, are you better served to pinch hit for a Rios to bring that left-handed bat in Hinske, or to have the right-hander hit against him? I mean, Rivera is very tough on left-handers.
The 2-2. And that ball's ripped pretty well. Damon towards the gap, reaches out. He's got it. That's the ball game. Rivera comes in, closes it out. Jays go 1-2-3, and the Yankees win this one 3-1. Well, guys, you looked at what the Yankees needed coming in. Quality innings from Mike Messina, and he gave it to him.
And they also got good coordination out of the bullpen. This is exactly, if Joe Torre could draw it up, exactly how he'd want to do it. You want to take it into the 8th inning with your starter Messina, who now is 10-4 in a Yankee uniform right here against this Blue Jay team. Then Farnsworth for 2, Rivera for the save. It worked out very well for the Yankees.
And for the Yankees, the relentless offense. It's their first one of the year where they haven't scored 9 runs. But they got enough today, so they got the job done.
Once again, our final score, the Yankees 3, the Blue Jays 1. The SportsCenter NFL Draft Special coming up next on ESPN. For Steve Stone, Steve Phillips, and our entire crew, I'm John Sciambi. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Good afternoon from Toronto.